be. Thank you.
Any seconder? Honorable Member for Jara East.
Thank you. I rise to second motion.
Honorable members, the records of votes and proceedings of Tuesday. Okay. It has been moved and seconded that the records of votes and proceedings of the National Assembly sitting of Tuesday, 30th June 2020 to be approved. Any issue or observation from the honorable members? Honorable members, any issue, observation by any honorable member, please. If no other issue, we go to page 2. Page 2. Then we move to page 3. Lower Fuladu.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Page 3, number 3, communication from the chair, where it reads, the Honorable Speaker informed the Assembly that her office is in receipt of a communique from the Office of the President in the morning of Tuesday, 30th. D is missing there. Thank you.
The correction. Jimara.
Thank you very much. Honorable Speaker, I think when you go to the following National Assembly members were absent with permission, number 6 and 7, both of them were here yesterday.
That is on page 2.
Page 3.
Page 3?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We move to page 4. Basse, page 4.
Honorable Speaker, thank you. The problem on page 4 started at page 3. If you allow, the Honorable Speaker informed the Assembly that her office is in receipt of a communique from the Office of the President in the morning of Tuesday, 30th June 2020, that the government is no more proceeding with its motion for the extension of the state of public emergency. Therefore, her office, in consultation with the Assembly Business Committee, I want to propose this correction. Would not table the motion as earlier placed on the paper for the day. Thank you.
Honorable Member for Woodley East.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I think the solution to where you say Assembly Business Committee, it should continue, have decided that the motion would not be tabled as earlier placed. That's the tasting. Yeah.
Okay. That's right.
Also, Honorable Speaker, the next paragraph, second line, where you have will.
Then I will come here now.
That she will be, now should read, she would be adjourning, instead of will be. We should change it to would. We are reporting what happened. Thank you.
That's the end. Then I come to this order. Thank you very much, honorable members. Khalifa. Thank you.
Yeah, no, this is done. This is done.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, honorable members. It has been moved and seconded that the records of votes and proceedings of the National Assembly sitting of Tuesday, 30th June 2020 be approved with amendment. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. Thank you. Thank you. Clerk, you may proceed.
Thank you. Questions for oral answers with reference to Standing Order 36 and 41. The Honourable Minister for Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology.
Thank you very much, honorable members. Honorable members, as usual today is the question for oral answers in accordance with Standing Order 41, 1 in bracket. Furthermore, as a way of reminding the Standing Order 43 limits the supplementary questions to 7 in total. 2 for the honorable member asking questions and 5 for other honorable members. Therefore, we will proceed with the honorable minister schedule for today to give their oral answers. I thank you. Then we go to the honorable member for the Minister of Higher Education.
We're going to hide it now. He's done now. This is what he did. Then after which, then you can question number.
Yeah, okay. So, thank you, clerk. Yeah. Thank you. Question which due notice was given to the Honorable Minister of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology by the Honorable Member for oral reply. Question number 097. Where is it?
It's 979.
Sorry. Question number 79, 2020, by the Honorable Member for Upper Salu.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, can the Honorable Minister for Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology tell this August Assembly the current situation of the preparation of annual reports, including audited accounts and activity reports of all institutions under his ministry's purview?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. The institutions under the Ministry of Higher Education are the National Quality Assurance Authority, and the question, the NACA has submitted activity reports and financial audited accounts up to 2018. Their activity report for 2019 is ready, and by way of updates, is being debated at the Council and will be submitted next week. And they had requested the external auditors to conduct the external audits since March 2020, but they did not come because of the COVID-19 pandemic. The external auditors will start the audit exercise by 29, that's yesterday, June 2020, and the audited accounts is expected to be submitted to the National Assembly by end of August 2020. The Gambia Technical Training Corporation, GTTI, the GTTI 2017 Audit and Institutional Report is ready and will be submitted today by way of update. They are currently working on the 2018, which will be ready by September 2020, and that of 2019 will be ready by October 2020. The University of the Gambia has submitted the annual reports to the National Assembly up to 2016, However, 2017, 2018, and 2019 annual reports are being compiled for submission to the National Assembly latest end of August 2020. The audited financial statement for the year ended 31st December 2016 and 31st December 2017 have been considered and approved by the University Governing Council and submitted to the National Assembly. The 2018 audited financial statement will be submitted to the National Assembly, and by way of update, it will be 27 July instead of 23rd June. The 2019 audited exercise is yet to take place owing to the COVID-19 pandemic. However, it is expected to be concluded by 15 September 2020. Gambia College. The Gambia College has prepared its activity report up to 2018 and 2019. On audited accounts, the financial statements are drafted up to 2018, and the auditors are finalizing the 2016 and will also audit 2017-2018, which will end their contract. The college wrote to the National Audit Office to recruit auditors for 2019 financial year. The Management Development Institute, MDI. Annual reports for 2018 and 2019 is ready and done, and the annual report will be completed by the end of this week and submitted to the National Assembly. Will be done by end of June. That's latest today, I'm sure, 2020. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Supplementary question. Opasalu.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, apart from NACA, it looks like all the other institutions consistently, they are not delivering as mandated by the Constitution of the Republic, and at the same time also by the Tertiary and Higher Education Act, particularly the University of the Gambia and Gambia College. Now, they've been behind by more than 2 years. And what exactly is actually happening? Because of what you are telling us now is the same thing they told us in our committee about the auditors. What exactly is the ministry planning to do just to ensure that the laws of this country relating to audited accounts and the submission of activity reports are upheld? Thank you.
Relative to Gambia College, the auditors were Sane and Co. That's the former Minister of Finance. And it is common knowledge that there was a period when he was incarcerated, and that led to, the backlog. And that's why in the answers it is said that, when they complete their contract, they will get a new contract. For Gambia College, we have been having accountants living in and out, and that has also contributed to this. But we are on top of things in terms of ensuring that they comply with whatever the requirements of the National Audit Act is, and the higher education, and also whatever the requirements of the National Assembly is. So we'll follow up vigorously on that to make sure that they don't delay.
Thank you. Honorable Member for Opasalu. Okay. Sorry. Any other supplementary? No other supplementary. Okay. Honorable Member for Joshua.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, I just want you to clarify. If I got you right, you said the University of the Gambia, their annual reports for 2017, 18, and 19 are being compiled. I just want to clarify. Is it the accounts themselves or the audited reports that are being compiled?
It's the financial reports that are being compiled. because the audited ones are audited by the auditor themselves, and that's okay for them. And that will be discussed by the University Council and presented to the National Assembly.
Thank you. Honorable Member for Serakunda.
Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Minister had indicated the activity reports and financial statements that should be presented. Wouldn't the Honorable Minister agree that this should be submitted within 3 months of the end of each financial year to the National Assembly? And would he give assurance that from his angle, he will encourage those institutions to fulfill the constitutional requirement?
Certainly, I agree with the fact that this should have been done within the 3 months, prior to the before the end of the financial year. And as I said, we will vigorously pursue from our end that they are in compliance of the requirements.
No other supplementary? Thank you. Honorable Minister. Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Minister. You may leave. Hey, what is it? Standing order words. Standing order, yeah. Honorable members, in accordance with the standing order, I am now varied the order paper to allow the Honorable Minister of Information and Communication to take the floor. Honorable Minister of Information and Communication, please.
Thank you. Question for oral answers continues. The Honorable Minister for Information and Communications Infrastructure.
Thank you, Clerk. Question number 062-2020 by the Honorable Member for Jimara.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, can the Honorable Minister for Information, Communication and Infrastructure tell this August Assembly the measure in place to ensure there is equal opportunities for all opposition parties for the state media, example, GRTS?
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. And before I proceed to the answer, let me also apologize most profoundly because these answers should have come in the December session of the National Assembly. I was not in the country. Then in the fourth quarter also, I was caught up outside and kind of like literally stranded. Thank God I'm here, and I want to indulge your understanding for this long period that it took for these answers to be provided. Honorable Speaker, I wish to thank the Honorable Member from Jimara for the question. And I have to say that the Gambia Radio and Television Services, the GRTS, being the state broadcaster, is an impartial national media institution with mission to reach all communities within the length and breadth of the country and beyond, which meet expectations, positively impact national development, and generate reasonably sufficient returns for the corporation's financial self-sustainability. In this regard, the GRTS has put in place an editorial policy which accords equal opportunities to all political parties since the dawn of the new era in the Gambia for news coverage. In terms of airtime allocation for political party broadcast or statements, it is executed in consultation with the Independent Electoral Commission, the IEC, during the election cycle, and GRTS will continue to do so to ensure fair play and in fulfillment of the wishes of the political parties and their supporters. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable. Supplementary question, Member for Jimara.
Thank you very much. Honorable Minister, I have seen in several occasions where political parties are holding rallies, but then they always write application letters to the GRTS for TV coverage. But then during the rally, you will not see any cameraman or any journalist covering the program during the rally from the state broadcaster.
Well, thank you. I do know that of recent there has been a great improvement in terms of visibility of political parties and their activities, especially as they relate to coverage of political party rallies. But what normally happens is that when you are to organize an event, you write specifically to the Director General of the national broadcaster, who will assign a team of reporters and also, of course, a cameraman to cover these events. In most cases, there is always a challenge because GRTS is facing serious resource constraint issues. It is just as early as 2017, when the new government came in, that some resources were injected into the state broadcaster and some cameras were bought. I think 12 new cameras, but some of these things have started wearing and tearing. And now we have also have provincial correspondents that are actually according, National Assembly, members of, parties of, different persuasions, according them coverage of their activities and also, all other, events of, specific orientation in terms of, their interest to the editorial policy. But yes, there will be some hitches here and there. And it is unfortunate that if all requests are not accorded, but probably it could be due to lack of resources.
Thank you. Honorable Member for Jimara, your second. Okay, you are okay. Okay, thank you. Honorable Member for Woolly East.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the providing airtime, equal airtime to political parties is a constitutional provision, which means even if there is no election, political parties should be able to have airtime to be able to explain their programs to the electorate. So when would the GRTS commence allocating airtime on a routine basis to political parties to ensure that programs of political parties reach the masses? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I want to believe that the specificity regarding, real politics normally starts at a specific time allocated for this event, especially when elections are happening. And that's when, in fact, by policy, the GRTS does not even, handle this particular issue. It is the Independent Electoral Commission that works with the respective political parties and the management of GRTS to ensure that every political party registered to take part in competitive elections is actually given equal opportunity on the national broadcaster for citizens to make their informed choices based on the presentation of the information that comes from the respective political parties. Regarding this broader issue of continuous, political party coverage of their activities, this time not news, I think this can be a challenge, I know that. But, nothing is beyond the mandate of this National Assembly. If it is a constitutional matter, I think the management of GRTS should be engaged and then, see what is possible. But I do know that with the trend of the political parties, registration in this country, I think we are now getting to 17. We don't know whether, it would be possible to have that airtime because airtime also is a limited resource. It's not something that is just unlimited out there. So, I mean, this is something that can be worked out, but the logistics can be a nightmare, that I can tell you. Yeah.
Thank you. Honorable Member for Banjul South.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Minister said that we are in a dawn of a new era. Honorable Minister, I was privileged to have worked at the GRTS as the head of marketing responsible for allocating the airtime and sending out the invoices. And at that time, the executive, the president was given unlimited time and was never charged, even though I made it a point of duty to send the invoice. Honorable Minister, can you tell us whether that is still the case or whether all political parties are given equal airtime apart from the constitutional right? Are they given airtime to showcase their activities like they are doing? I'm not saying that there's honorable. My question is coming. The president, sorry, I'm a bit confused.
Please, Honorable Member, go straight onto your supplement.
Okay, we all understand that there are executive activities that are of national interest that must be shown, but it is not everything. And is opposition parties given that same opportunity to also showcase their policy, their strategy, and everything else? Thank you.
Thank you, and I'm happy that you understand the challenge at GRTS. And you know, during the former government, I can tell you it was extremely very challenging. There was no editorial independence. Everything was tightly controlled from the office of the president, what should be broadcast, who should come on the TV, which event they should cover, where they should go, and where they should not go. I mean, you know, but since 2017, I think we have seen a remarkable change. And I can tell you that all political parties that want to do any event, including the now National People's Party, if it is service-oriented that requires, commercial activity, they pay. The GRTS has its own board and management and a functioning marketing department that actually bills accordingly. Now, when it comes to visibility of the activities of political parties, yes, this is a constitutional requirement, and of late, I think we have seen a number of coverage of political parties and their events and their rallies. Although, yes, here and there, I've also been particularly privy to 2 complaints of unfair treatment from 2017 to now. And those ones were adequately addressed internally. One of which I was Director General, in which a political party leader was caricatured on the national broadcaster, and that was regrettable, and we corrected that. The second one also, the honorable member for Jimara was involved in this particular issue with me to resolve it in Basse when his party leader actually, I think, was insulted on a program on Radio Basse, and rather than them coming to have a go with the programmers, we went and resolved it amicably, and I want to thank him for that, because it went to a stage that we had to even stop the phone-in program at Radio Basse because the 2 camps in 2017 were raining insult on each other's party leaders, and it was becoming polarized. But he worked with me to resolve that issue in Jimara, and hopefully I think they have now realized the importance of radio, and then they will work together now to use it for their, advancement rather than to, So thank you, Honorable, for that. So those 2 events I was aware, but, I know it's an evolving situation, having come from the difficult 22 years. Institutions were under pressure, but now, at least with the democracy that we have, we can see that all political parties are using the national media to express
their
I'm rising on a
programs
point of order,
and
Mr.
activities.
Speaker. Order. Mr. Speaker, I refer the Parliament to clause 43.3.
Honorable Member.
Yes, I'm rising on a point of order. Yes, it's an order. I'm rising on an order. Clause 43.
Yes. With your point of order, please.
Yes, let me refer you to clause 43.3. May I read? The time taken to ask a supplementary question shall be no longer than 1 minute, and an answer to a supplementary question shall be no longer than 2 minutes.
Oh,
Mr.
okay.
Speaker, the answer is
noted. Honorable Minister.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I thought I was. I thought I was between 1 and 2
Honorable Minister,
minutes.
please. Honorable Minister.
Yes.
The standing order that he could. That's the Bible of the National Assembly. Please.
Thank you so much, Honorable.
Noted. Honorable Member for Fonyi Kansala, please. Supplementary.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, in relation to the response you made as per the access of political parties to GRTS, which is the national broadcaster, I want to put it to you that our political party, since late 2018, are not accessing the services of GRTS. Of all our political activities, we have been writing to GRTS, but they never took heed to our request for them to cover our political program. So I want to put it to you that the status quo, if you are saying it has changed the other way around. It's now us not benefiting access of the services, despite the dictatorship government bringing the national broadcaster to where it is.
Thank you so much, Honorable Member. Honestly, this was never, put to my attention, but I have taken note of it, and I will engage and I'll inform the Director General accordingly. But by statute also, the minister cannot interfere directly in the editorial work of GRTS, although you can suggest and work with them. But I will bring it to their attention, yeah? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member for Central Badibu.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, you will agree with me that political socialization is one of the essential elements of democracy. Political socialization is one of the elements of democracy. Now, is your ministry in position to ensure that more staff are given training so that they can be able to handle political parties when they have debates or when they have political programs?
Well, the national broadcaster has been conducting numerous training for their staff since 2017. I do know that. However, with the situation that we have now, I think more training is needed to help our host or program host to be more vibrant and be able to deal with emerging issues in political programs, because it can also depend on the way a program is handled that can lead to a serious misunderstanding of issues and the back and forth. But this is something that we'll take note of. They have enough staff, and training solely will be something that we will give to the staff.
Thank you. Honorable Member for Serraconda, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the question talks about measures to ensure equal opportunity, which does not necessarily depend on the resources available. It is just simply saying measures to ensure equal opportunity. Are there concrete measures being taken to ensure equal opportunity to all parties to gain access to GRTS?
Thank you, Honorable Member. Yes, indeed, a number of measures are in place. First, an editorial policy, a functioning editorial policy is in place that ensures that no political party is treated unfairly on the national broadcaster. that when requests are sent to the national broadcaster or to the Director General for coverage request, all avenues should be explored to see that these requests are honored for news. And also there are other measures which includes working with the Independent Electoral Commission during the election time to ensure that every political party that is taking part in the election is given access to the national broadcaster on an equal, unfettered basis.
Thank you. Question number 063-2020 by Honorable Member for Upper Salu. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, since the National Broadband Network, NBN, was completed through a loan from the Exim Bank of China, can the Honorable Minister for Information and Communication Infrastructure, Moishi, tell this August Assembly whether a data center, which is part of the NBN build, has started earning any revenues from this network?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The data center ownership was confirmed to Gamtel management in early 2019, and upon confirmation, Gamtel saved thousands of dollars by installing its enterprise resource planning ERP system on the data center instead of acquiring a new hardware. At the same time, an investor was introduced to Gamtel by the Ministry of Information and Communication Infrastructure for a public-private partnership potential. Unfortunately, at the tail end, it was realized that the control the vendor required over the data center will make it a security risk for government data should the relationship turn sour for any reason. Subsequently, an attempt was made to install a payment gateway and base applications on the data center to automate invoicing and payment as and when requested by the clientele. Unfortunately, the request for a restricted tender, including 7 renowned suppliers sent to GPPA, that's the Gambia Procurement Agency, was rejected based on the GPPA requesting more detailed specifications. Since then, Gamtel has been doing further research with suppliers to assist in detailing out the specifications that may be acceptable to GPPA. Potential clients, including government, have been lined up awaiting the payment gateway and base applications. The Ministry of Information and Communication Infrastructure is currently working with Gamtel to migrate their current applications and systems at the e-government data center to the new NBN data center. Furthermore, Gamtel is seeking an exemption from the GPPA as the aim is for the data center to be buying and selling platform as the need arises by the clientele. It would be extremely inefficient if each and every customer requirement has to be subjected to GPPA regulations in this dynamic market of operation. So therefore, right now, I have to say that no money is being made from the data center. But we have an update that the ministry is currently engaging the World Bank through the Fiscal Management Development Project, FMDP, under the Ministry of Finance for the migration of the government from the e-government data center, which is the IFNIS center, located at the Ministry of Finance, to the new data center. And we hope that when this is completed, customers and clients will be activated, and then more resources will come, and then more money will be made.
Thank you. Honorable Member for Upper Salu.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Would the Honorable Minister confirm to this Assembly whether this national broadband network was built purposely for Gamtel, or it was built as a way to enhance broadband in the entire country, not only for Gamtel itself? Can he also confirm that?
Well, the national data infrastructure, actually, the national broadband network infrastructure was built purposely to enhance the scope of connectivity and activities across the country for end users, not only Gamtel. Gamtel is only given the mandate to manage it with its experience and also being the state entity that was identified during the contractual negotiations. Now, yes, challenges are there with this, and the honorable member himself is part of the national consultants that we have engaged to help us map out the new strategies of ensuring that the data center is properly used to its fullest.
Thank you. Any honorable member for Upper Salum, second supplementary?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Minister. Now, wouldn't you think, in terms of effectiveness and in terms of being able to deliver on time, wouldn't you think it will be appropriate to create a separate entity for this national broadband network so that the private sector can also tap into with all the things it can bring, instead of actually having to leave it only with Gamtel, because it looks like Gamtel could be the referee and also a player at the same time in the game. So wouldn't you think a separate entity would be in the best interest of the nation? Thank you.
Well, the government of the Gambia, through support from the World Bank, last year completed a comprehensive review of the operations of Gamtel and its management of different facilities under its control, including the national broadband data. And a suggestion has been forwarded to us as a government to look at the possibility of creating an SPV, the special purpose vehicle, that will independently run not only the national broadband network, but the entire fiber infrastructure of this country. Now we have to, critically look into this, because these are national assets that border on security issues. But different options are being explored to ensure that we bring in efficiency in the system, but also without compromising the core security concerns that we have. Because now we are talking about, migrating the health data on the system, the e-learning, and a whole lot of government information systems. Now, you have to be very careful to ensure that you don't give this to an entity that can easily compromise data privacy issues. So we are exploring all these opportunities, and then we will accordingly inform the subcommittee that is responsible for ICTs and I think education and the critical players that we work with. But I can tell you that work is being done already. This research, and consultancy that was done by the World Bank on our behalf is being critically studied, and we prepared a cabinet paper on this already, and hopefully a decision will be taken on it.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Any other supplementary? Honorable Member for Serakunda, please. You take Fonika. And I saw.
Honorable Speaker, since the data center will be the nerve center of the whole communication network in the country, has there been any effort made to create a multi-stakeholder committee to look at all the challenges, economic, we're talking about $25 million to be repaid by who? Of course, the contractual partner. So, and also all the other elements. Isn't there any effort made towards that venture?
Currently, the arrangement is that Gamtel is paying on behalf of the government of the Gambia the loan contracted under this particular contract as part of the obligation of the government of the Gambia. Now, recently we have, as a ministry, used the services of local consultants, which I think the honorable member is part of it, the honorable member from Upper Salum, to help us come up with some policy directives. This is a multi-stakeholder strategy that we have adopted to help us actually come up with a very robust policy that will help us manage this.
will be able to finalize with all the processes that they are working on to enable them start realizing gains from the loan.
Let me make a correction that they are already making money from the MBN because customers are already been connected to the MBN. It is the data center, which I think cost about, according to the contract, about $3.something million. For almost 2 years, when the National Assembly in 2017 approved and work completed, it wasn't very clear who owns the data center in the contract. And my ministry had to engage the World Bank to help us actually sort out all these things in the contract, a thick document of nearly 1,000 pages. And it was when we realized that, in fact, it is GAMTEL that should manage this. And this was finalized in 2019. So since then, GAMTEL was instructed to start installing all the other applications to make the data center work. Because as it is, the data center is there, but the applications that will make sure that the customers are connected, you have the experience and everything, those are the ones that were not there. So now they have already started doing that, and we hope that when that is complete pretty soon, they will get more money from this because we can have our local banks whose ATM services and other data are now stored outside to be stored locally. We can also have other services like the Googles, the YouTubes and everything to have their activities locally stored in this country to ensure that customers have experience, and all this is going to be really some form of income for the data center. And also local businesses can now have their data stored here and then can have their own websites built to reach to their customers that are within and outside this country.
Thank you. Honorable Member for Latrikunda Sabiji.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, as you said in your oral answer, you talk about the data center, that a lot of money has been spent there. Did you want to tell this August Assembly that since the approval of the NBN project in the Gambia here, the data center is not being put into good use?
If I am not mistaken, I think it was $3.7 million. My director of ICT is here. Is it 3.7 million? 4.7, yes. What? 3.4, yes. $3.4 million was spent on the data center. So, yeah. But, the way actually the contract was also done, everything was rushed in 2017. And GAMTEL only became part of the picture when the contract was signed, and then they were told about specific tasks. So this was an extremely difficult thing. ICT is very dynamic, Honorable. You are in this business. And you have to be part of the planning stages because everything has to flow. So now when people do their thing and then they want you to come in, you also have to start from the very scratch to ensure that there is compatibility. So that has always been the problem. But luckily we have passed that difficult stage, and now we are now into the enterprise system, where hopefully very soon the applications will be installed, and clients and customers will be connected.
Thank you very much. We move to question number 064-2020 by Honorable Member for Upper Salu.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, would the Honorable Minister for Information and Communication Infrastructure tell this August Assembly how GSM companies charge data usage to their customers, especially charges on certain applications like Facebook, YouTube, and other social media applications?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Mobile operators in the Gambia have two-tiered systems of charging for data, which are based on pay-as-you-go basis and bundle rates tied to specific quantities as in the details specified in the table below. For example, for Africell, if you are on their pay-as-you-go system, like you buy the data and you buy the credit and you turn it into data, for every kilobyte I mean, you need to have at least, I mean, $0.26, maybe 26 bututs, to start a session to be able to help you get connected. And for bundle, they charge you per kilobyte. QCell, you need to have about 14 bututs for every 20 kilobytes to be able to start a session. And they too also charge a bundle per kilobyte. Gamcell actually does not charge the pay-as-you-go per butut, but they also do bundle charges per kilobyte. Now, regarding charges for social media applications such as YouTube, Facebook, and the rest, the charges applied are the same in terms of volumes utilized. For example, if you want to upload something or download something, they charge you based on the utilization. And there is no special rate or charging mechanisms applied in that regard since it is a bundle charge. They are treated as normal data sessions. The bundle rates, however, differ from one operator to the other with the different rates for the different operators applied.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member for Upper Salem, any supplementary? No? Any supplementary? Honorable Member for Lower Nyumi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, are you aware of the high speed of the consumption rate given by GSM operators, particularly Africell, which has a blood-stained knife that it leaches on all its subscribers?
I don't know whether I want to be very hard in that type of answer, but what I can tell you is that we have a national regulator that handles complaints of customer experience in terms of data usage, and if there exists this type of thing, I mean, we have, you know, in some instances directed the complaining customers to PURA, but we also have the Consumer Protection Agency in this country, which is a government agency that can look at this type of issues. And I know PURA and the Consumer Protection Agency has been doing some fantastic job going around the country explaining to customers the operations of the GSM companies. I mean, which number you should call if you think that, you know, you are unfairly treated. But the ministry also actually in our regular engagement with MNOs, that's the mobile operators in this country, we bring up some of these issues and concerns. And in most cases, when there is tangible evidence, the party or the operator is fined by PURA.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member for Jimara, supplementary.
Thank you very much. Honorable Minister, as your ministry is responsible for the GSM operators, I don't know whether you are aware, sometimes these GSM operators do deduct their customers. And when you call their customer care, they will tell you that you are activated to one of their apps, while some of the customers, even their own numbers, they cannot read it. I don't know whether your ministry is aware of that.
We have received complaints of that nature, and we have had several meetings. And those that complain and we have tangible evidence, their monies are refunded. And we are always informed, and we are given evidence of that. The problem is that, when you have your mobile phone, especially the new Androids or new types of mobile phones that have different applications, you have to be very careful because you can download a tune which actually is not free. You think it is free, but every month you are charged for utilizing that that facility. And, we have also noticed, because at some instance last year, this complaint came up, where some people, complain that when you call somebody, for example, if I call your number, just in the middle of the call, a voice will come say, if you want to use this as your ringtone, press hash. But they won't tell you that if you use this, you are charged. So when these things are brought to our attention, we also inform PURA and Competition Commission to ensure that the affected customers are refunded their money, because they should be told. But I also want to use this opportunity to make people know that sometimes some of these things are not free on networks, because they also use this to make money here and there. So I think people should be aware of some of these things. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member for Banjul North.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, I'm not sure whether you are aware of the fact that the regulators, nothing is being done by the regulators in terms of these disparity charges. Because if you look at the GSM, I don't want to name names, but you can see exorbitant charges. Is the ministry considering engaging the regulators so that they will have a standardized charge across the board? If those that want to give free, like Gamcel, that's fine, but standardized charge, because what $10 it can give you in terms of minutes for the layperson, with one, like $10 with one, the other is $50 for the same period. So I think something ought to be done. There is no value for money in terms of GSM services.
Yeah, there was a study in this country I think it was in 2006 or so, regarding the interconnection charges in the Gambia. And the study suggested that cross-network calls could be as low as 50 bututs. Like if you have your AfriCell or QCell or Gamcell, it doesn't matter which number you have. If the right policies are put in place, we can charge as little as 50 bututs per call. But you know that of late, we have a lot of charges, taxes on the GSM companies. For example, in Banjul alone, they have increased their charges on towers for GSM companies by more than 200% since 2017. To have a tower, each tower you pay tax to the councils. And from 2017, pre-2017, the price was this much. But now in some councils, the disparities can be so huge. In Banjul, it's like 300% or so. In other areas, it's like 400%. So and the councils will always insist that these are the things that they also use to make money. We also have the GSM levy to maintain GRTS, because government said they don't have money to subsidize the activities of GRTS. And this is a national institution, it has to survive. So tax levy was put on the GSM companies. 2.5% of their revenue is allocated for GRTS on voice, on calls, yeah? Now we also have the sports levy and a lot of other taxes. And as a result, they also put this thing on the customers. I think this is the time now also for us to look at the taxation on the sector to make it affordable to the people.
Good morning, honorable members. Honorable member for Nyanija.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, comparing the charges these GSM companies are charging to those within the sub-region, most especially within just our neighbors, definitely I consider it very high. So I don't know what could be responsible as the minister. Can you please help the Assembly understand that?
Well, it all boils down to taxes on the sector and the exchange rate, because most of the services also that the GSM companies use, for example, for data, and also connectivity to the outside world, you have to use our landing station, the ACE cable. And it is not an automatic thing. Somebody somewhere, we call them third parties, will also have to sell capacity to these operators in foreign currency, which is kind of also translated as cost, because when you use your dollar and convert it into dollars or euro to buy capacity to maintain a certain level of service on your network, you also have to make sure that you have profit. But that should not be an excuse. I mean, we are working tirelessly to deal with seeming fraud and unnecessary charges on the customers, because at the end of the day, even though we are regulating the operators, but we also protect the customers who are unsuspecting, who sometimes are not properly told some of the things that they are charged for. So I mean, we are very vigilant on those things, and that is why we have now installed a system that can tell us exactly, for example, if you call from outside, we can know from a click of the button, we can know how much it cost, how many minutes, and from destination. So in that way, you cannot in any way underdeclare your revenue or overcharge people. We can know that. Now that thing is completed and they have started work on it right now since last week.
Member Latrikunda Saviji.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, did your ministry or the government, did your ministry have any plan or let's say policy, a clear-cut policy that is going to guide the operations of the GSM operators in this country in terms of the data usage on social media, Facebook or whatsoever? Did you have any policy to guide their operations in this country?
On data usage?
On all the areas.
You mean the GSM operators?
GSM operators.
Well, I mean, the regulation part is done by PURA. We are in charge of policy to ensure that we put in place the necessary safeguards for customer protection, the protection of data and privacy, to ensure that when you say you buy 1 gig, it is that 1 gig that is actually on your phone. I mean, the end user experience. Now, in case there are experiences where people think that, they are cheated, that regulatory part is the job of PURA, and we work with them. And when we get complaints, really, we inform them, or sometimes the consumer complaints agency, and then they take actions.
Honorable Member for Kantora.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving the floor. Honorable Minister, do you have or do you collect revenues from this GSM operator based on voice call or megabytes? Because the use of voice call is really going down. Are they paying you only on voice call or data usage as well? And secondly, also, the 4G light. The 4G light is being claimed to be in country, but in practice, it is not. So what is the minister's position in addressing that?
Okay, let me start with the last one, the 4G LTE. There was a time, you remember, in 2017, some operators claimed that they had 4G. And we use a system to determine, because on your phone, there are certain phones, especially the iPhones. If you are on 3G, it will indicate. If you are on 2G, it will indicate. If you are on 4G, it will indicate. Now, I mean, there is a sophisticated system that you can know. You go to these base stations and the towers, and then you can see the connection. And based on that research, PURA fined some of these operators for misleading the public, and they were told to bring down the advertisements that they were making, that they had 4G. But currently, some of them have actually 4G, and they are deploying it. But, I mean, the ministry, of course, in collaboration with PURA, are monitoring the advertisements where they said they have 4G, because we know their network topology and capacity where you can say you have 3G, and if it is not 3G, we can know. If it is not 4G also, it can be known. So those ones are there. Your first question was about what? Voice calls revenue. Yeah, the data, since when the landing cable station was built, the data gateway was liberalized long ago. Now we have also liberalized the gateway for the voice, but that's why we have this monitoring system now. We can know, because we want revenue assurance to ensure that every call that comes in, we can monitor it to make sure that you pay the appropriate taxes. We are coming to do the localization of it also. We want to upgrade it to include even local calls so that we know exactly every call, how much should go to the state as revenue. So we are doing that, and we've started that now.
Thank you. Honorable Member for Woolly East.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, I want to know whether there is any follow-up when it comes to refunds. Because the PURA would ask the GSM operator to make a refund, and allegedly they will make a refund. But then if you want to use the refund, it just takes a very short period, and then your whole thing goes away. So do you make any monitoring? And are you willing to put all these concerns together and work with PURA to ensure that they are addressed? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Yes, of course, we are prepared to work with the National Assembly Subcommittee on ICT to really compile these serious complaints and, even set up a national mechanism to monitor, some of these redress systems. But I do know that I think at the beginning of the year, there was a big row about data bundle here with one of the operators, and they were forced to refund every, affected customer. Now this one where you said, immediately the data ends quickly, so I was not aware of that, but we can really find, talk to PURA about this to know exactly what actually are the issues. And if customers have those complaints, they can come to us or to PURA, and then, we will take it up.
Thank you. Any more supplementary questions on this? Yes, nominate. Yes, in this.
Thank you very much, Ma. Honorable Speaker, in your answers, you stated that there are some example, the music that they play on and then voice will come. But if you call them and tell them that I want this to be withdrawn, the withdrawal always takes time. So what mechanisms do you think can be done so that these withdrawals can be done rapidly?
I think that's a very valid concern, because if you give a customer to an unsuspecting person, or if you give a product to an unsuspecting customer, and you start charging this person, and the person says, look, I don't need your service, it should be withdrawn immediately, because it's an unsolicited thing, and really I'm surprised that those who have this experience, it takes long for their complaints to be taken care of. But it's one thing I have noted, and I will talk to my director of ICT to take up this matter with PURA so that these things can be resolved. I think it's a very serious, genuine concern also.
I'm sorry, honorable members, we've reached the upper limit of 7 supplementary questions. So we have to move over to question number 65 of 2020 by the honorable member for Upper Salon. Thank you.
Thank you. I think this is my last question. Honorable Speaker, with the Honorable Minister for Ministerial this August Assembly, the percentage of bandwidth owned by the government on the East and how it is utilized, including the financial cost and the revenues generated from the bandwidth.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The Africa Coast to Europe ACE submarine cable, which is the first ever submarine cable in the Gambia, was commissioned in 2012 as a public-private partnership PPP with the following as shareholders. The government of the Gambia 19% owns 19%, Gamtel owns 20%, Gamcel owns 10%, QCell owns 16%, Africell owns 15%, Comium owns 10%, Unique Solutions owns 5%, and NetPage owns 5%. Together, this makes it 100%, although the private sector has a bigger percentage with 51%, while government and its subsidiary agencies have 49%. Honorable Speaker, the government, through the Ministry of Information and Communication Infrastructure, has activated STM1, which is equivalent to 155 megabytes per second from the 19% capacity for the government LTE infrastructure, which connects a lot of government ministries and departments. Currently, as part of the overall objective of a government-wide network GovNet, MOICI, which is the Ministry of Information and Communication Infrastructure, is on the final stages of connecting all ministries, departments, and agencies of the government to fiber and integrate them into one network called WAN, utilizing the government capacity at ACE. This will help government significantly reduce cost relating to the payment of internet to the different ISPs, and at the same time increase efficiency and security. On the financial cost of the 19%, as a stakeholder, the Ministry of Information, on behalf of the government, pays quarterly operations and maintenance costs and budget support to the Gambia Submarine Cable Limited, which is the overall agency responsible for the management of the ACE building, ACE landing station. My ministry also leased some capacity to 2 ISPs that are non-GSM members at cost. It is important to indicate that the funds received from the leasing of capacity is used for the payment of budget support to ACE operation and maintenance cost, upstream ISP for the activated STM1 for the government LTE, among others. Honorable Speaker, I also wish to inform this August Assembly that the government of the Gambia, through my ministry, has activated 1 gigabyte at no cost to the internet exchange point used for the bandwidth refilling of the Google and Facebook caches. But I also have an update on this particular issue because my ministry has been working with critical stakeholders to ensure that all government departments and agencies and ministries are connected to the fiber. And the phase 2 of the fiber to the ministries, departments, and agencies project has been completed, meaning all ministries and government departments have fiber terminated in their premises while we work on wide area network WAN integration, which means that what we are trying to do now is to ensure that the fiber that is terminated to the ministries and the departments is now put on live so that they can all use the government fiber and our capacity at the ACE. The phase 3 of the project will connect selected government agencies, provided that central government provides the funds for this particular activity.
Papa Salum, you have a supplementary question.
Yes, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I think the second part of the question is actually asking about the financial cost of this 19% as well as the revenues that are generated. In his answer, he indicated some of these are leased, but in financial terms, what money are we talking about in terms of what you are paying, in terms of what you are getting back from these other operators that are utilizing the bandwidth?
That for our 19%, this was a World Bank supported project that was given to the Gambia. And initially, the Gambia government was to pay the entire, I think it was $35 million. And when it was put to the attention of our international partners that we did not have that money, I think this was in 2012, then the World Bank came up with a mechanism that, okay, we are prepared to support you, but government cannot take the majority stake. And that is why the private sector came in, the operators came in, and together they form 51% holding of the ACE landing site, and we own 49. But out of that 49, 19 is allocated to the government of the Gambia for its use, to ensure that everybody is connected to the internet of all the ministries and departments and agencies. Now, what we are paying, it depends on the capacity demand. For example, on monthly or on timely basis, I think I have some figures here. If you don't mind, I can read that to the Assembly. In some cases, like for example, in the first quarter of 2019, we paid $18,000 on behalf of the government of the Gambia. And the way we get this money is like the STM1 that we have leased to smaller ISPs, because you see, the problem that we have is the big players don't actually give access to the smaller players to use this thing. So we as a government, is in our interest to see that everybody is connected. So we lease some of our capacity to these players, the smaller ISPs, but we charge them. And the money that we get, that's what we keep in the GSC account. And when the quarterly payments come, then we tell them, remove this from that account so that it will not be a burden on the government. So the first quarter of 2019, we paid $18,000. The second quarter also $18,000. The first quarter of 2020, we paid $22,000. The second quarter of 2020, we've paid $24,000, yeah? So we are now waiting for the third quarter. And any money that we got from the lease of the STM that we have given to the smaller operators to ensure that they also connect their customers, that's what we use also to pay, so that government will not have to have that extra burden.
Phone ringing. Can you just check, please? Can you? Thank you. Yes, Pasalo.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
The mic is very sensitive. It picks it up.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Now, the fact that JSC is actually receiving those payments on behalf of government from the other small ISPs, is there any accountability? For example, the National Audit Office or the Internal Audit, are they aware that monies are being collected on behalf of government by JSC? Because it's a requirement that any time funds belonging to the government is taken anywhere, they have to be aware. Is the National Audit Office aware of these funds that are being paid by the other parties to JSC, who is not really a government institution? Thank you.
The arrangement of the ACE is not a government thing. You know very well, it's a private sector thing. What we are doing is that we want to ensure, because it is the responsibility of the government to help this policy of people getting connected to the internet. And if the bigger players are not doing that, of course the smaller players will come. Now, regarding the payment, we are not even touching the money. It is going straight to the government account at the GSC. And then, rather than us going to finance to say, please pay this $20,000, which could have been a challenge, we just say, okay, use it from the account that you have there. But there is full-blown activity. The accounting officer of my ministry is the permanent secretary. She has full access to this. The accountant also. And I think the National Audit may be aware. I'm not sure. I'm not sure with the arrangements, but I can find out. If it is a requirement that they have to be aware of this, even though it's a private sector thing, we can involve them and let them know.
Thank you. Honorable Member for Banjul South.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, can the Honorable Minister tell us, he said in his answer that the purpose of the ACE is to increase efficiency. Can the Honorable Minister tell us, since its inception in December 2012, how effective has it been in terms of cost and service, and how has it trickled down to the user, to the end user? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Member. You may be aware that until recently, even to get calls into the Gambia or outside was a challenge. And also, the internet connectivity was extremely the bandwidth was very small. So this infrastructure, together with all others like the ECHO one that was to help the national connectivity, has really helped us to have first-hand customer experience. Now we are talking about 4G in this country. So that's one of the benefits. Quicker, faster internet connectivity, and also, better call experience.
Thank you. Opanyomi.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Minister was able to explain explicitly the percentage owned by the government and how this is utilized, including the financial cost. We had it, but I did not hear him saying anything about the revenue generated from the bandwidth. Can you please say something?
Well, the whole essence of government's participation in this is not definitely to make money. It's to provide an infrastructure, and our role is to enable the process. Now, I have to say that the reason why we are charging for the STM is to, leverage that opportunity for government to be able to maintain its, because the aids has to be routinely maintenance. You also have to pay for certain cost. And knowing how difficult it is, we came up with this innovative idea that why not we lease some of our capacity that we are using, because 19% of a submarine cable is big, it's so huge. We cannot utilize that. We cannot finish that. So it is important that we lease it out. And that little money that comes out at the end of every month is deposited into the ACE cable account. And then, that's what it is used to pay our share of the cost and maintenance. The bandwidth also, the payment of the bandwidth is part of the overall budget of the ACE. For example, the GSC, GSC is the Gambia Submarine Cable. It's a company that was formed through the World Bank support to manage this infrastructure. So now, at the end of every term, they have to pay for the bandwidth used by the country. And each party, based on the percentage that you have and your usage, you are charged for that. So those are the type of things that you pay, those 20,000s and the 19,000s and the 18,000s. Those are part of those charges, and that's what we also use to pay on behalf of the government. But our role is not basically to come in as a government to make money out of this. Our role is to provide the infrastructure for Gambians and those that are using this facility to be able to use first-class internet facilities and ICT facilities to enable the development process of this country.
Thank you. Senator Kunda, please.
Yeah, Honorable Speaker, Section 160 of the Constitution, subsection 6, does make a requirement for inspection by the Auditor General of any company where government has minority interests. Wouldn't the Honorable Minister consider that to be prudent to engage the Auditor General for that purpose?
Thank you, Honorable Member, for that very good advice. We will definitely do that. My permanent secretary is here, and we will do as advised. I think that is an important undertaking. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Member for Fonyi Councillor.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, you made mention of bringing government department agencies into the one, which I must commend you for the effort. But you meant further in your answer to make mention that there is, like the small players are not being given room by the big players. Kind of, there is no fair play. So my question is, what strategy does your ministry have in ensuring that there is level playing ground as far as this particular project is concerned?
Okay, I mean, you know, when the ACE was discussed and the percentages were given, it was mainly the big telecoms operators and the big ISPs that at the time were considered to be part of the SIA holding. Now, over the years, the sector has evolved, and we have a lot of ISP companies in this country. And they all want to connect customers on their networks. Unfortunately, they have been complaining to us that whenever they went to, the bigger players who have, shares of this facility, they don't give them, you know, the required connection. Then we decided that since it is the responsibility of the government to make sure that our people get connected, we've decided to give a percentage of our share of the 19% to them so that they can do their work, so that they can also connect. But we do this at a small cost, you know, because you also want to encourage these small ISPs to come up. They are employing Gambians, they are paying taxes. So we are using that now as a policy to leverage that support to, you know, to the ISPs, internet service providers, just in case, you know. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, nominated member Jaitu.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, I'm just concerned with the issue of the payments and how the Ministry of Finance is not involved. My question is, the amount of money these internet service providers pay, is it equivalent to the exact amount of money you were charged for by ACE, how do you call it? GSC? If there are balances, for example, if you were charged $1 million for the service they are providing and these people are paying you 1.5 million, where does the balance go? And I think you should immediately engage the Ministry of Finance, because this should be their domain. This is revenue, no matter how small it is, and they should be the ones handling it. I don't think it is quite legal for any other entity to be handling these amount of monies, even though you are not looking to make profit. Since they are paying a sum, and sometimes they might pay more, and there is a balance. Who's responsible? Who handles these finances? Thank you.
Well, the permanent secretary at the Ministry of Finance is a board member of GSC, and the finance ministry is fully on top of all the transactions and activities, because at the end of the day, when it comes to engaging the World Bank on the ACE, it was the Ministry of Finance that led the action. So in fact, this idea of the percentage here came from them. Regarding the excess balance, if there is any, because in most cases you don't have. I know that the two ISPs that we engage, for example, InsysNet, for example, they pay about $480,000 a month to the GSC in that account, which is like $10,000. And within the quarter, you know, when that payment requirement are requested from us, they write letters that this is the government's share of the running cost of the GSC. We said, okay, take it from the account that is there. You know, but the account is visible to us and the Ministry of Finance. But as you said, you know, since it's a matter of regulation and law, we will comply. Yes.
Thank you, honorable members. Question number 166 of 2020 by the honorable member for Kantora. Thank you.
Honorable Speaker, can the Honorable Minister for Information, Communication,
inform this Assembly about the 25 million broadband network projects, level of implementation and successes, if any?
Thank you, Honorable Member. Madam Speaker, the $25 million broadband network, the NBN project financed by the Exim Bank of China, was successfully implemented and the project phased out by the 31st of March 2019, and it provided the following benefits, or it still provides the following benefits. A total of 420 kilometers of additional fiber optic cables were laid to extend ECO1 services. This ECO1s mean, this is what helps you to get local connectivity to communities that are away from the main north and south bank highways from 31 central office location, COLs, and main towns across the country, which means that we have 420 extra kilometers added to the fiber, and we have 31 centers and towns that are also provided with these services. Number two, we have existing ECO1 IP core network facilities were increased to 40 gigabytes from another 31 deployed in identified main towns to manage their local broadband services. And if you don't mind, I can explain this. Before, what used to happen was that everything used to travel through the Serakunda exchange points to be able to, like if you are in the rural areas, you want to get connected, your traffic will come all the way to Serakunda and it will go back to you again. That is why you had, it was extremely slow. But now, whatever location you are within this country, if you want to connect, the location connection is provided to you from that point. So this broadband, national broadband network has enabled that as well. Yeah. Number three, we have 107 fiber distribution terminals and networks which were built across the country with the capability to provide broadband services to 2,000 homes, 3,000 offices and businesses, and 60 mobile network-based stations. Number four, fiber optic backhaul link capacity within the Greater Banjul area was increased from 2.5 gigabytes to 20 gigabytes. This is a huge capacity. And backhaul link capacity for the rest of the country increased from 622 megabytes to 12.5 gigabytes across all primary backhaul link capacity between ECO1 network and the central local office locations, which have been activated to 10 gigabyte links, while secondary links to connect villages activated to 1 gig capacity. This is telling you that until this fiber came in, I mean, the whole of the Greater Banjul area, we were running on only 2.5 gig. And that is why you always had that congestion. But since we have 20 gigs alone, and we have increasing demand as and you can also increase this more based on the demand. And even in the rural villages that have this connection, we put 1 gig for them, so that if you want to get connection, you can get activated and then you can be connected. So I mean the service is rolling out. And we also have a new data center which was deployed at the Ace submarine cable. The number 6, all power and environmental systems within targeted sites were optimized. And number 7, training was also provided to the staff of GAMTEL from the technical directorates. Yeah. And currently, I mean, I have this update that GAMTEL is connecting customers, I mean, homes and businesses on fiber using the national broadband network infrastructure, while plans are in place to extend the network to cater for areas that were not covered before during the project, especially new residential areas as demand for broadband internet increases.
Dora, do you have a supplementary?
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Honorable Minister, you would agree with me
looking at the magnitude of this project, it's a huge project. And the capacity it's rendering compared to the services provided is very, very infinitesimal. 2,000 homes alone to be supplied is really, really at the low side, and this country need to pay this loan. Are you thinking in line, your ministry, to really expedite this process, to expand to homes, televisions, e-learning, schools, area council, e-government, to expedite the process? Because these services are laid down there, not utilized, and revenue is not coming. So when we expand this thing, it will expedite even the payment of the loan facility. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I have to say that I entirely agree with you. Unfortunately, when this particular matter was being discussed in the National Assembly here, I don't want to say that due diligence was not done on a lot of things, but I think it would have been good if the appropriate technicians like Honorable Mbo and the rest were duly contacted before this thing was passed so that we can look at a lot of things. $25 million, 2,000 homes, if you ask me, I say yes, it's small. But now we are working with Gamtel to buy more FATs, this is fiber access terminals, to ensure that more homes and customers are connected. This, we should have insisted as an assembly to be part of the original cost. That was not done. But this is already a foregone thing. We are now looking at the future to say that, look, I mean, we want to make sure that from now on we look at this infrastructure critically and then, provide the things that were not properly catered for at the original, during the original, discussion times. And as I told you earlier on, Gamtel was not involved in the original discussion. And the Assembly passed it, and some of those technicalities were not looked at critically. But now we are looking at it, we have the contract document, we are looking at a lot of things, and we are now improving on the fiber access terminals, the FATs, and other services or facilities, equipment that will be needed to ensure that we fully utilize this. Because this is like a robot under the ground. If you don't use it, it's of no use. The capacity is there, but you need to use it. So, I mean, I fully agree with you.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, you are coming. I already have 7 on my list, but yes, I know you are entitled to 2, but I am appealing if you can forego your second question. Give chance to the technicians, especially. I know. I think you understand where I'm coming from. It's your right. I'm just appealing. Otherwise, I wanted to give the opportunity to Honorable Member for Upper Salon. But if you insist on your right, then
thank you very much.
We'll wait for another time then.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I'm really concerned about this particular project. And Honorable Minister, so far so good. Since this project has been successfully implemented, are you in position to provide revenue accrued from this particular project so far? Thank you.
Yes, we can contact the Gamtel that is responsible for the operational management of the project to give us what has been accrued so far.
Opanyomi.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me the floor. Honorable Minister, in your answers, you mentioned good successes, which are really promising. But is there anything within the project which you consider it as a failure, which is not implemented?
Well, I have a number of them, but I don't know whether it is necessary to belabor on them because the project is done already. I came and then, in the middle of the implementation. We cannot blame anyone. I think from time now, I think projects like this that are technical in nature, we need proper due diligence, ensure that the appropriate institutions involved in the initial planning to the implementation is extremely important. sometimes what happens is that, I mean, people come with their fancy projects and then they roll it on government institutions, and by the time you know something is signed, and it's late for certain things. But we could have really looked at a lot of things, because if you ask me, I mean, the school connections is important. You know, I mean, going deep into the interland, not necessarily using the cable, but also using the air system, you know, fiber to air, which could have been part of this to ensure that those extreme rural areas and villages that are far, far, far off the highway can be connected through the fiber to air, to ensure that every home in this country gets connected to our fiber system. But unfortunately, because the technicians were not on the negotiation table, the Ministry of Finance signed the contract and then brought it to the National Assembly. It was approved, and you know, the Huawei that was contracted came with their ready-made agenda. So the Ministry of Information, that is the lead ministry involved or responsible for the, you know, technical issues, was not even involved in the negotiation. So these are some of the issues, you know. But, you know, I think we have all learned a lesson from this, and hopefully, you know, projects like this, when they come, you know, before the assembly actually rushes to pass, they will contact the relevant institutions. Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Honorable Member for Woolly East.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The Minister has a little bit gone into the area which I want to ask, because it's my concern that with 400 and something kilometers, in addition to what was already there, yet still you have villages, communities which members have to go up trees to try to access internet or access telephone calls. So I was asking, if the project is that successful, why is that still happening in some of those communities, in Woolly East especially?
Well, this has nothing to do with the telephone voice. This is basically data infrastructure to transport it to the relevant communities. The voice actually is the responsibility of the mobile operators themselves, where they have to make sure that they get to every corner of the country. I know that QCell is doing very well in ensuring that they get countrywide access, network connectivity.
Thank you. Honorable Member for Janjambure.
Madam, I would want to give my chance to Honorable Bo, because my question had already been answered by the Minister.
Member for Upper Salem.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Now, Honorable Minister, you know, in your answer you were referring to Gamtel providing fiber to the homes and the offices, which actually I'm personally using. But the previous question actually I asked also came back again because of the private sector.
Yes.
Do you have any policy direction that is actually being implemented or being given to Gamtel so that the private sector can also do the same? Because my understanding is some of the private sector, they wanted to do their own fiber network, which doesn't make sense to me. But if they have issues in getting the fiber connectivity from Gamtel, there's no other choice. So do you have any policy direction towards fixing that problem? Because I think it's beneficial for all of us in this country if it is put to best use. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I think we have to be also careful here that this particular facility is like a loan that the government has taken and it has to be paid. So any other deviation from the arrangement passed by this National Assembly will have to be properly discussed, and appropriate consultation is done so that we are not seen to be actually deviating from the contractual agreement. Now, the issue of the private sector participation was part of a study done by the World Bank for us, and they suggested that we should set up an SPV, which is controlled by the private sector to control, to manage and run our entire fiber infrastructure. I mean, is it risky? It is under discussion. Is it something prudent? We need to look at it. But, you know, private sector participation is really good if it is done fairly. And also, you know, you look at all other issues to ensure that really you don't infringe on certain things.
Thank you. Honorable Member for Latrikunda Sabiji.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, we are informed by you that the minister responsible for this at that moment was not informed about this project. Now what we want to know, the stakeholders that were involved in the negotiations of this project, we want to know if possible.
Yes, this thing was negotiated only by the Ministry of Finance, then in 2017. And when the contract was finalized and discussed in the National Assembly, that was when we were involved.
Honorable nominated member Jaite.
Thank you. Honorable Minister, thank you for the very nice reprimand you have given us. And I think we haven't learned from our mistakes, because as an assembly we are still repeating the same mistakes of not going through these agreements properly before rushing to pass it. And I think next time be blunt with us, because I would have been very blunt with you if you have made this kind of mistake. And I think we owe an apology to the entire nation for rushing to do this. But my question is there
the questions, please.
Is there any chance for us to renegotiate this contract? As an expert, if you look at this, is there anything we can renegotiate to make it worth our money, since we have to pay? Thank you.
Well, I don't know whether there is any other window now left to us to renegotiate, because the contract has been executed and finalized and handed over to us, and we have started paying. You know, and it was this assembly actually, I'm sorry, Madam Honorable Member, that actually passed this particular thing. You know, we only implement. We, as a ministry, we only implement. That's what I was saying, that if we were consulted, if the assembly actually, your subcommittee, as you are doing right now with all other bills, actually contacted us, we would have given you our candid opinion on certain points. That's what I was saying. But it's not to demean, you know, your competence or whatever. I'm sorry if you think that way. Yeah.
Thank you very much. We've reached actually the upper limit of 7 supplementary questions. Please, and that's the rule. We have no honorable. Please, we abide by the procedures. Thank you very much. Honorable Minister for Information and Communication Infrastructure, thank you very much for the answers provided to this August Assembly. You are now released, honorable members. Also, thank you for the questions. Now, Clark, can we proceed with the Minister for Higher Education, is it?
Thank you.
I think it's Interior.
Yes.
Yes.
Question for oral answers continues.
Honorable members, can we please have one meeting? Thank you.
Question for oral answers continues. The Honorable Minister for Interior.
Questions for which due notices were given to the Honorable Minister for Interior by honorable members for oral reply. Question number 1 of 2020, Honorable Member for Banjul Central. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Speaker,
Can the Honorable Minister for Interior inform this August Assembly if there are any measures in place to mitigate and or stop the use, possession and trafficking of cannabis in the country? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Speaker, I am pleased to inform the Honorable Members that the Government of the Gambia, through my ministry, has designed and implemented strategies to address the disturbing surge of cannabis abuse and trafficking, covering supply suppression, that's enforcement, as well as demand reduction, public awareness sensitization. In line with the international standard and best practices, non-custodial sentence measures such as community service, counseling, and mentoring are provided for the first, second, and third time offenders in cannabis possession cases. Additionally, additional efforts include the upgrading of the drug demand reduction unit of the Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Gambia, to a directorate, and the implementation of robust and accelerated public engagement sensitization activities targeting mainly the youth who constitute the majority of the victims. Series of school outreach activities in the form of symposium, drama, debate, quiz competition are conducted in schools across the country alongside the establishment of the anti-drug clubs in several schools. Similarly, community outreach programs targeting traditional and opinion leaders, youth, women groups, as well as the radio sensitization programs are ongoing. Furthermore, DILIC has signed an operational memorandum of understanding with their counterpart in Senegal and Guinea-Bissau. Within the frame of this agreement, joint operations named Operation Open Roads are conducted with the aim of strengthening sub-regional cooperation in drug interdiction and nurturing interoperability among the law enforcement agencies of the three countries.
Supplementary, Banjul.
Also, serious lobbying with partners is in progress to construct a rehabilitation center to cater for the needs of abusers. This will complement other efforts to reduce the demand since victims will have access to various support services to facilitate their reform. I therefore invite this August Assembly to consider if matters regarding the funding is bring before them for the actualization of this initiative. Thank you.
Banjul Central. Supplementary question.
Yes, supplementary. Honorable Minister, there are many allegations that security officers are always involved in the trafficking of cannabis. Can you please shed light on this?
Thank you very much for that question. I think I totally agree with you. In some instances, security officers are arrested. Just in a couple of weeks ago, some officers of the army are arrested. So I will not dispute your decision. But, however, wherever you have good ones, you still have bad ones among us. So we're trying to identify them and then weed them out if possible, so that at least the efforts to fight against drug abuse can be strengthened. Thank you.
Thank you very much, honorable members. You just have to bear with me because I see so many tags up and we can only allow 7. So I'll go by the list that I have, so others will have to wait. Thank you. Honorable member for Sanementeren. Thank you. Yes.
Sorry, Madam, my question has been addressed by the...
Good, so somebody else, yeah. Banjul sir was on. Yes, we are all on the list, but we have to go.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
We all cannot be on our feet at the same time.
Honorable Speaker, instead of having to stop the use and possession, can the Honorable Minister not try to control because as far as I know, there has been research that have identified some benefits of cannabis. So in effect, it is not totally bad. For example, in some forms of epilepsy, can we weigh the options of the good and the bad and try to control rather than stop it?
I am not expert in medical field, and as such, I don't think I can answer that question to your perfection, to your understanding. I am not an expert in medical field. I think that this question could be directed better to the health minister here. Thank you.
Badibu. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, my issue is also pertaining to the use of cannabis as a medicine, because some people are using the roots as a herb. In an event that those people are arrested with the roots to use it as a traditional medicine, what is your take on that?
I think I maintain my position on that. And I would appreciate if the Honorable Minister of Health is here, you can ask him those questions to bring things to light. Thank you.
Nominated member, Jaite.
Honorable Minister, this question is very close to my heart because I live in the heart of trafficking, I would say, and that is Kololi, Taban, Queen's Head Junction, opposite Willis. And I've engaged the drug squad people on this issue several times. And I will take this opportunity for you to investigate what is happening in this area. Drug squad is there every day. Even in my house, after 12 midnight, they will jump over the fence following people. I've had this issue with them. But the root of the problem is not them coming every day, and the youths are accusing them of taking bribes, arresting them, taking bribes from them and bringing them back. And it's the same process. And now hard drugs are being trafficked around that area. Is there anything you can do to shut down that area if we are really serious of controlling trafficking in this country? Because that is the heart of trafficking in this nation, and it's Queen's Head and Willis. Thank you.
If all those activities are happening around that location, it's very unfortunate because I witnessed police patrols being conducted almost every night, and I'm personally out almost every night, out to 2 o'clock. If it's happening, I think I will engage the Director General of the Drug Law Enforcement Agency to do something about it as soon as possible. But the other part of your question, I think I cannot, whether I have the power at this point to at least close that area. That needs some stakeholders' involvement, and I will discuss with them. Thank you.
Please remember that there are time frames attached to questions, supplementary questions and answers. So if we take about 2 or 3 minutes, in making a statement before we come to the answer, I'm afraid I'll have to stop it. Thank you. Honorable Member for Basse.
Madam Speaker, thank you. The question is about mitigating or stopping the use, possession, and trafficking of cannabis in the country. I do understand that hemp is a variety of cannabis sativa plant. We derived products are found in our markets. What is the position of the ministry towards this variety, or the derived products of this variety?
As far as the law stands, hemp and cannabis are all classified under one category, unless this Honorable House remove hemp from cannabis.
Well, I'm not sure whether the question has been answered.
It has not been answered. Can I
You've exhausted. You've asked your question. You have exhausted your 1 minute. Let's allow him. You're not very satisfied. Yeah, let him explain further or respond further. more clarification, please.
Then, if you can ask the question again, probably, I don't know, if I missed the question.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm just concerned about hemp, which is a variety of cannabis sativa plant. Its derived products are found in our markets. Hence, the question is about mitigating and stopping the use of and possession of trafficking cannabis in the country. What is the stand of the ministry towards this product?
I think I definitely get your question. My thing is that hemp is classified under cannabis, and cannabis production is prohibited and its usage is prohibited. So if there are products that have component of hemp in them, we have to know the percentage of that component in those products. You know, so that requires research on it to see whether, because they are prohibited for a purpose. So if their usage for other medical purpose did not affect or contradict why they are. But as far as the law stands as at now, the hemp is considered. It covers the whole cannabis category.
Thank you. Talinding, please. 1 minute for your question.
Thank you, Ma, for giving me the floor. Honorable Minister, you stated in your answer that most of the victims of these drug abusers are youths, and some of them might be juvenile offenders. What is your ministry doing to mitigate such? Because there is a serious conflict between the Children Act and the Drug Act to stop these children or to prosecute them.
I'm not aware of the conflict between the act, these two acts, unless you at least you broaden your question to cover the difference. Then I will be able to answer your question properly.
Yes. What I'm explaining about is conflict between the Children Act, because sometimes these juvenile offenders, if you arrest them, you cannot put them into cell or you prosecute them. It's what the Act is saying. Or sometimes you need to put them in a comfort zone. Sometimes they might even be released. They are not talking to court. So I don't know whether you are working on anything to.
I think there is a need for us to go into the act properly, because we have to look at the age of criminal responsibility. You know, the law provides the age of criminal responsibility. The manner in which you are going to be, your custody is going to be taken, that's where the difference comes in. Certain age, you are criminally responsible for your act. So, but for juveniles, category of juveniles, we have age up to 16 years, you are considered as juvenile. Then the manner in which the police will take your custody is where the difference is. They will separate you completely from adult offenders. Certain rights are also given to you, like certain rights are given to female offenders. Well, that's the difference. I don't know whether I answered your question properly, but you bring in, you said there is a difference, there is a conflict between the two, the Children Act and the Drug Law Enforcement Act. So I'm trying to highlight that, but then your question can follow after. But I've not, what I picked up from your listing is that what I've asked me to answer this way is that you brought in the conflict between the two laws. So I have to clarify that. Personally, I have not seen that difference in the laws. All I've seen is that the manner in which care and custody of prisoners are taken. Juvenile prisoners, female prisoners, and male prisoners.
Honorable member, probably you may wish to pursue your question further. Thank you. Honorable member for Serekunda.
Honorable Speaker, the issue is measures being taken. Would those measures not include real civic education on the issue and what is really being done to raise greater civic awareness on the issue of the drug?
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. I think your advice on that is important. We that's why I only mentioned radio sensitization and then other programs, and this includes civic education. Thank you.
Central Badibu, did you ask a supplementary? You did, okay.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, isn't there a need for some form of house cleaning at the level of the police force in order to bring about an effective control of drug trafficking? Since it is attested that they are also involved, some of them are involved. Those who are supposed to control are involved. So control becomes difficult if there isn't any house cleaning taking place at the level of the police force.
I think actions are already taken against anybody found wanting on that aspect. So mostly they are dismissed. Quite a number of them officers are dismissed. But the trend now is not even drug law enforcement officers. The recent arrests were people from different units. So, and then action has already been taken against those officers.
Thank you. Question number 2 of 2020 by the Honorable Member for Fonyi Berefet. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, can the Honorable Minister for Interior tell this August Assembly if his ministry has any effective mechanism that can limit road accidents which continue to claim lives countrywide?
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Speaker, may I inform the honorable members that my ministry, through the Office of the Inspector General of Police, is working hard to reduce road accidents. The following measures are currently being employed: the placement of traffic cones to serve as indicators for speed limits in sharp and bend junctions, ongoing public sensitization on road safety for drivers, pedestrians, and other road users, on FM station, GRTS, and other private radio stations. Increasing the number of police presence to ensure that road users are safe, thus reduce road accidents. My ministry also, in collaboration with the Ministry of Transport, Works and Infrastructure, has established a National Committee on Road Safety, housed at the Ministry of Transport, with the aim of coordinating road safety initiatives as mentioned above. In addition, my ministry continues to engage with NRA on the construction of sleeping police, erection of road signs, and marking of roads. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Honorable Member for your Prefect.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, would you agree with me that the mechanisms I've just mentioned has been here for so long? And considering our ranking in terms of traffic worldwide and sub-regional, is very undesirable. Would you tell us if you have something different that we consider adequate in terms of limiting road accidents?
I'm not sure whether other countries are using the same different approach, but this is the international standard that we are applying. What I want to base our frequency of accidents is on the attitude of drivers.
Have another supplementary? Yes, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The assumption is mostly based on assumption that probably it's due to careless driving, not qualified person being issued a license. Would the Honorable Minister consider conducting a research that would be a person to really determine the root causes of accidents, and that the outcome of that research will be able to determine what the solutions would be?
Thank you very much. The ministry continues to conduct research on this issue, and currently there is a team, I sanctioned the research on this issue. But all the previous research indicates that, one, the road conditions is linked to road conditions, the driver's comportment, and also vehicle conditions. These are so far that is what we have, because most of the accidents drivers are charged for dangerous driving or careless driving, and dangerous driving shows your conduct and also the condition of the vehicle. If your conduct, if a reasonable driver would not have driven a vehicle in a manner that you drove a vehicle, then your conduct is below that standard. Then the vehicle also, the standard of the vehicle also, the condition of the vehicle also dictates. If a skillful and competent driver would not have driven a vehicle under that condition, and you drove it under that condition, then you are also liable for this. But apart from the condition of the vehicle and the driver's attitude, the road conditions also contribute a lot to accidents. We can see for ourselves, where the roads are seriously bumpy, there is minimal number of accidents. But where you erect fine roads, the tendency of accidents being happening is there. So what we can do best as of now is to erect at intermediate distance sleeping police officers to reduce the speed of vehicles, because people are not taking heed to traffic signs in this country. So what we can do, but it's also very frustrating sometimes to other members of society if you put sleeping policemen on certain locations, they query a lot. But that is what you can do to minimize road accidents. I've traveled from Dakar to Kaolack, a lot of sleeping policemen. From Kaolack to Sokol, the same thing. But when they did that, there is a minimal number of accidents. I think what we can safely do is that if the public is not going to query much about it, is to put a lot of sleeping police this thing at high and rules. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Minister, our in-house rules, that is our standing orders, allow you 2 minutes to respond. So probably if you can just directly answer the question that is posed. Honorable nominated member, Seka.
Thank you very much, Ma. I have a statement it's just like a question, but also a little thing, for 1 minute. What I'm saying here is that sometimes it's the issuance of license, because I heard somebody saying that in the Gambia, it is very easy to have license. You can even sit at your house and then the license will find you in your house. So is that certain? And if so, what mechanisms are put in place?
I'm not disputing that this thing, it may likely happen, because we are in a society, our social setting is such that a lot of things happen. But I'm not disputing that. But we are doing everything possible to stop that. Because we sensitize officers to know that if people do not go through right testing, the tendency of them having accidents is there, and then the lives are going to be lost also. I appreciate your question very well, but then we are doing something about that, and we're going to establish a vigorous testing system come next year.
Thank you. Lower Salum.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, don't you think getting $850 doesn't give you license? What is your plan now, taking back license to police? Because as far as before, it mitigate the road accident, because before issuing your license, you must pass through a procedures, and now it's not happening. What is your plan now, bringing back license to police? Thank you.
I think we are taking the same procedure in issuance of license. You have to undergo testing. You obtain a testing certificate from the testing officer, then there you can go to obtain your license from the company. When you talk about renewal of license is also there. Most license holders are subject to vigorous tests. Then if you want to renew, even if you want to renew also, there are certain conditions that has to be tested. You know, your eyesight should be tested, because from year 2019 to year 2020, probably you have some eye problem that can lead you to be disqualified. But these are some of the provisions that are there, and then we are applying it. Whether they are strictly applied, that I don't know, but I will engage the Inspector General of Police on those matters.
Thank you. Sebastian Anjal.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think I should be the one, or I'm one of those potential people to catch your eye. Madam Speaker, my question is it...
You see, I will cut your time limit then, because you have 1 minute and you're talking about catching my eyes. My eyes...
Yeah, because I have been...
I have to look at every angle. So I'm just a human being, so please.
Madam Speaker. Okay, my question is it not important, Honorable Minister, for you to have a policy that would retrain all drivers, especially the young ones?
The competence of drivers, when they are tested and they are not qualified, everywhere it lies on them to capacitate themselves. We will have the resources to train everybody. That's going to be a very difficult task for us. But we have the authority to reject you if you don't fulfill the requirements. And it's up to you now to go and then find somewhere to learn. This is what is going to be applicable not only to drivers in the coming year, but also to vehicles. We wouldn't want to see vehicles, roadworthy vehicles blind on our roads. Thank you.
Honorable Member for Jara East. Oslo and Yumi. Oh, sorry, it's Jara West. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, I can attest to your having speed bumps as deterrents, because we are benefiting. But still, there are numerous other areas that need to be put in place, particularly the schools. Could you give consideration to approaching the National Roads Authority for the installation of more speed bumps or sleeping police?
This forms part of the signboard that we are engaging the National Road Authority on, and possibly very soon you'll see, because signboards are erected in most of the schools, and where busy schools are normally attended to by traffic officers in the morning, especially on those hours where you look at from Serekunda to Brikama, you find around most of the schools police officers standing there to ensure that kids cross easily to their schools. But notwithstanding, erecting signboards there is not only enough for us. I think the physical presence of officers at those locations is also important.
Thank you. Jara West.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, of course, sleeping police are very important, but if you look at most of these fatal accidents on the main road are normally caused by the trucks parking beside the road. Do you think the traffic unit should be moving along the country to see those parking trucks beside the road to go off-road? Because most of the accidents are caused by these parking trucks. Thank you.
You are quite right. In recent past, we encountered a lot of accidents caused in that manner. But the police are currently very constrained regards to towing vehicles. The towing vehicles they have as of now can only tow small vehicles. Trucks cannot be towed. And then if trucks have problem on the highway, normally we engage the bigger companies to at least to help us to tow those trucks out of this thing. And sometimes it's very, very costly to tow a bigger truck from the road to elsewhere. But we are doing our best to make sure that a request has already been sent to my ministry. We're going to engage the finance minister to at least have 2 or 3 towing vehicles ready for us. Thank you.
Lower Fuladu West.
Thank you very much. My question has already been addressed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then Sami.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me the floor. Honorable Minister, did you talk to the communities in terms of where they want these sleeping police to be?
I don't think some of these communities are not expert in the area of traffic management. They will tell you exactly where they don't want it. But probably that would be the best place where it should be erected. So that's why we're conducting research, the frequency of accidents, where it happens. You know, recently around Kanlaji, it's not Kanlaji, Sibanol, that's where the economic this thing is. A lot of complaints comes to me, and I've just sent that information, to see, and I've also engaged, we have written to the economic commander, so that at least we go and look at the place and see how best to, at least if the checkpoint at that place could be moved elsewhere, because I understand it's at a bend, and it's causing a lot of havoc to long vehicles. So we engage in it, but to say where communities are not experts in the area. So we engage the experts to conduct assessment and know exactly where the sleeping policemen should be erected. But at a personal level, I want to put them at a distance before the village and a distance after the village, so that will help. If it's a big village that has a long distance, then within the length of the village also, 2 or 3 other distances can be erected for the drivers to use their speed while they transit through the village.
Thank you very much. Question number 3 of 2020 by the Honorable Majority Leader and Member for Kombo South.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, it could be recalled that on March 16, 2019, Buba Drame of Gunjur Berending allegedly shot and killed Buba K. Jame at his orchard in Gunjur, Kombo South constituency, West Coast region. Can the Honorable Minister for Interior inform this August Assembly what efforts his ministry had taken to bring Buba Drame of Gunjur Berending to justice since his arrest in March?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I'm trying to trace the question on my...
I know you have many questions, but it's question number 3 of 2020.
Honorable Speaker, I'm pleased to inform honorable members that Buba Drame has been arrested on the 22nd of February 2020 at Gunjur Berending, Kombo South District in the West Coast region of the Gambia. He was subsequently cautioned, charged, and put under police custody. The following morning, being the 24th of February 2020, the matter was mentioned at Brikama Magistrate Court and subsequently referred to Brikama High Court. He is currently remanded in Mile 2.
Point of order.
Honorable Speaker, no question should be asked for a matter that is before a court. I say no question should be asked when a matter is before a court.
But Honorable, if the response is to tell the state of affairs as far as where it has stopped, not necessarily detailing out what is before
Honorable
the court.
Speaker, Standing Order 38 says, A question shall not reflect on the decision of a court of law or be so drafted as to be likely to prejudice a case on the trial. Honorable Speaker, there is presumption of innocence. So,
I think we're all aware of that.
My question was written before this man was even arrested and taken to court. So that's why the minister is answering the question.
With that question, I mean, Honorable, are you satisfied with that response?
No,
Honorable Minister cannot go into the details.
No, I'm not.
Once the matter is in court, personally, or officially, I am not sure whether it is in court or not. I don't know. But if the matter is in court, the Honorable Minister cannot discuss something that is before the courts. Whether it is on our standing orders or not, that is general, it's a general rule that we are all aware of.
Madam
The
Speaker,
Minister to tell us if it is in
the
court,
matter is
I
currently-
cannot answer the question.
Can I continue? Madam
Sorry?
Speaker, the matter is currently before the court.
It's before the court. Then?
So, as I said, my question was drafted before the matter was taken to court.
No, but Honorable, if the matter, if we are being told that the matter is before the court, then obviously we cannot discuss it. Thank you. Honorable Member, please can we have one meeting? Honorable Member for, question number 4 of 2020 by the Honorable Member for Birkama South. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, sometimes in 2018, a container allegedly containing illicit drugs was impounded at Gambia Ports Authority or at its warehouse. Can the Honorable Minister for Interior inform this August Assembly the stage of the investigation?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. May I start by indicating that my ministry is not aware of any container containing illicit drugs impounded at the ports or its warehouses in 2018. However, the only case the ministry is aware of is cocaine found in a sugar container on the 27th of July 2019, which was imported by Laura Food Company and supplied to a retailer on direct delivery. During the offloading, the labelers discovered 6 and 20 blocks of suspected cocaine from 2 bags of sugar. Following the company reporting the matter to the Drug Law Enforcement Agency, further search was conducted by operatives, resulting to the discovery of additional 12 and 10 blocks of cocaine in another 2 bags. All the substances discovered were tested positive. Investigation in the matter is completed and the case file is sent to Attorney General's chambers for legal opinion.
I think that's straightforward. It's under investigations, not before any court. Yes, Honorable Member for you, Birkama South. Okay, thank you. Any supplementary? Yes, Central Badibu. On the question.
Yes, Honorable Speaker, our ports are using as a trafficking, points, since
Please, that is a statement. Can you ask a question to clarify or further explain what?
Madam Speaker, according to the question, by looking at the question, our ports are used, as a trafficking center. So my question now is the minister in position to ensure that strong measures are put at our ports to ensure that they try to, monitor what is coming in and out of the country?
I think my first question on this, on drugs, centers on the same issue, and I've highlighted measures that we are taking as a ministry and also with the Drug Enforcement Agency. So those are the measures that are applicable everywhere.
Yes, Talinding, Honorable Member.
Thank you. Honorable Minister, did you have any mechanism in place to send signal of suspect before the landing of these containers?
Yes. There are matters that our operational capability, mentioning some of those matters, our capabilities may at least make us to be more prone to those things. So I would suggest, if you want, any member wants to know that whether we have the capacity or not, to at least approach me and I will tell them, because this is going to be covered by the national TV and the information will go very far, and suspects or criminals will know exactly whether we have the capacity or not. But we are doing our best to at least to track them.
Honorable, let's just try to avoid revealing the source of information, especially before the floor of the assembly, especially for something that is still under investigation. They may not have a right to come and defend themselves, and there's a decision yet to be taken at the court. And as rightly stated, which is tried law, everybody is presumed innocent until proven guilty. Thank you. Any more? Yes.
Thank you.
Supplementary?
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Please.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Honorable Minister, if I may ask, when exactly was this investigation concluded on your side and transferred to the ministry? Can you give us a date or just an extent? Because I want to follow it up, please.
I cannot precisely tell you the date, but it's been two months now.
I'm sure you can follow, if you need the exact date, they'll be able to provide it. Any more supplementary? We can still have a few more, 2 or 3 more. Okay, thank you. In that case, we move over to question number 5 of 2020 by the Honorable Deputy Speaker. Mr. Conte.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, can the Honorable Minister for Interior tell this August Assembly the total number of police stations and police posts that are on rent throughout the country and the amount being paid as rent for each?
Honorable Speaker, I want to inform this august body that there are 37 rented properties at different rates and amounts. However, the rented properties include 9 police stations, 20 police posts, 4 PIU-based, and 3 resident, that is quarters. The total rent amounts to $1,206,000. In 2019, $1,116,000 was paid on rent and $90,000 yet to be paid.
Yes, Honorable Deputy Speaker, if you have any supplementary questions, you are entitled to 2.
Thank you.
1 minute.
Honorable Speaker, does the Minister has any plan to build police station or police post so that we can go out from this renting? Thank you.
Thank you. There are plans to build more police stations. As the population grows, the number of police officers will automatically increase. As the standard number of police officers against the population in most countries is 250 citizens to a police officer. At the moment, the Gambia police force is 334 to a citizen. So this necessitates the building of more police stations to cover most areas. And also, we are not equipped like some other countries where you can be at the police headquarters, for example, and viewing somewhere around Bakau. So we need a physical presence of police officers at certain locations in order comparing the ratio of police officers to citizens. Our coverage area also has to be looked into. We have, at the moment, we are expanding more and more to reach to the people, because people get frustrated when they have nowhere to complain, and they result in going back to fight or whatever. So that shows us that we need to put more police stations, and these are all our plans. We have 5-year development plan that we want to make sure that we build extra police stations. Thank you.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, any more?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm okay.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Looking at this question, Honorable Minister, is saying rented police stations. Are you willing to prepare a list of all these police stations with the amounts that are, because he's asking about the amounts, and you have not said anything about the amounts. Can you prepare this list comprehensively for us, please?
And I can provide that. It's already available. I think answering this way will help, because we have the rents are at different rates. So there is no standardized rate. Somewhere in Serekunda maybe 4,000, somewhere 2,000. So that's why I'm trying to avoid that. I put up the accumulated list. I know there are 37 properties being rented, and out of which 9 are police stations, and then 20 police posts. But if the house wants specific number of rent paid to these stations, for these police stations, I wouldn't mind providing it as soon as possible.
You can make them available, and we will photocopy it and distribute it to honorable members. Honorable Member for Nyani.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
For your question.
Yes. Can the Honorable Minister make inquiries for that of Wasu Police Checkpoint? Just last week, the owner of the house is complaining that there are some areas which your ministry didn't pay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll make that inquiry, but I've already indicated that 90,000 is still remaining. Probably this is one of the stations that are not paid. But what is happening now is that some of the landlords were unable to provide necessary documentation on time. That was why the 90,000 is still in areas. Probably this particular landlord probably may fall within the sums that are yet to be paid.
Thank you. Sami.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, some of these police stations are in a very, very bad shape, especially the one in Karantaba. Same, is your ministry thinking of putting up a solid structure in that place?
One thing I just want the honorable members to understand is that some of the areas where we have police posts are not police stations. They are temporary distance depending on the crime rate. Where the crime rate is going very high, we establish a police post or satellite police station. That doesn't necessarily mean that the police station will remain. It all depends on the rate of crime at that time. That's where those things are established. However, if the crime rate continues at that location, there is tendency of building a police station there. But it all depends on our assessment of the area.
Honorable Member for Serekunda.
Honourable Speaker, would the Minister also consider the provision of mobile police vans as an alternative to police posts? Wouldn't that be an experiment to undertake to make the officers mobile so that they can cover larger areas? Wouldn't that be an experiment worth taking?
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much, Honorable Member. I think that's a very excellent suggestion. We started it sometime in 2011. I put a caravan, when I was the Inspector General of Police, I put a caravan around Sukuta, and then from time to time, depending on the rate of crime, they move from one point to another. We find that to be very effective, but most residents will request, they offer us places there. Most of these police stations that we are seeing is the citizens that are coming to the police to say, I wouldn't mind giving this particular place for you to. But if you occupy that place within a year, they start attracting rent. So, but they are all invited initially. Almost 90% of the police posts we are invited to establish, and it was initially free. But up to a certain point, they'll come up and say, I want to do this, especially because we wouldn't mind repairing stations that are distant, but we cannot, coming back to the first question, we cannot, repair buildings that we are renting. It's the landlord's responsibility. But I buy that suggestion to at least go back to that and establish satellite, movable, or discretional mobile stations at locations where crime rate is going high or where traffic events are going high. Thank you.
Thank you. Central Badibu.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, can the Honorable Minister inform the August gathering whether there are criteria that they use to identify a place for a police station? If so, can you buttress on the criteria that you use?
I know, thank you very much. I know the establishment of, at a personal level, the establishment of certain police stations, especially in the municipal areas, was a condition that because crime rates were going very high at those locations. Our intention was to dismantle criminal dens and to get them completely out of that place. That's how Dibakunda, London Corner, and all these things, we established police stations there. But it all depends on. Definitely, you cannot establish a police station where there is no crime. So obviously, you conduct assessment and establish where crime rates are going and find means to at least deter crime being committed at that location. And one of the means is to establish a police station. There then you will dismantle this criminal cell around those locations.
One more. Yes, Ilyasa.
Thank you very much. Honourable Minister, I heard that Ilyasa police post has been closed because of rental crisis. What is your take about it?
I don't get your question right. I don't.
What I'm saying, Ilyasa police post was closed because of rental crisis. What do you think about it? Yes.
I'll come back to my previous answer to at least highlight the difference between a police station and a police post. Ilyasa is a police post. And as I said, it's a discretionary post depending on the rate of crime. Where there is no crime or happenings there, the IGP has discretion to close it and open it elsewhere, even in the nearest village where the crimes are open. But what I can tell you is that I think you are very much concerned with this, and I have severally engaged the IGP on the issue. But it all depends on our assessment. If they conduct assessment around that area and feel that, putting it somewhere is even more distant to them, that's what they will do. But it's not a post here. It's not a police station here. It's a satellite post, and it's only there for a purpose. I want people to understand that. Police stations are different. Why we establish police stations, that is there for permanent. But police posts are not, they are discretionary posts depending on the rate of crime at that area or the rate of accident at the location. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We now come to the dual questions for the Honorable Minister. We start with question number 76 of 2020 by the Honorable Member for Serekunda. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, would the Honorable Minister for Interior quantify how many new ID cards have been issued since the registration commenced, and how many would be issued before the end of 2020?
Honorable Speaker, I am pleased to inform honorable members that my ministry, through the Department of Immigration, has since the commencement of the registration of new ID card in October 2018, issued 232,721 biometric ID cards. 141,396 of these is issued to male and 91,327 to female. During the period under review, a total of 219 refusals were made, and then a referral of 4,475 applicants. Honorable Speaker, the total number of ID cards produced for the year 2020 from January to May, including April, was 51,986. Therefore, the average monthly production stands at 13,000 cards during the said period, covering the 7 production centers. Given the above statistics, it is projected that about 200,000 ID cards will be produced by the end of the year 2020. With the new additional 4 centers and expected relaxation of the COVID-19 restrictions, this will happen. It is important to know that since the declaration of state of public emergency and regulation on social distancing and other measures to fight against COVID-19 pandemic, production rate has decreased. In fact, operations ceased completely in the month of April. I wish to inform this August Assembly that the production and issuance of ID card was only done at the Seamless Headquarters office in Kanifing before opening to other outlets in the region, namely Banjul, Brikama, Soma, and Farafenni. It may interest this August Assembly that 4 new sites have been identified, namely Kaur, Kerawan, Brikamaba, and Bara. Those are the 4 new sites. Imperatively, Kerawan and Kaur will soon be operational since resources, including equipment and personnel, are under arrangement to begin. Additionally, plans have been undergone to identify more sites in the country. As a result, production is expected to increase significantly soon. Thank you.
You're entitled to 2, yes. Serekunda.
Honorable Speaker, would the Honorable Minister indicate what are the problems preventing universal issuance of the ID card throughout the country in all regions?
Right now, what is preventing universal issuance is that the facility to issue ID cards. So we are lobbying with landlords because we cannot build at this point. So some of the properties that were identified are not ideal for the purpose. So that put us to move to another landlord to scout for ideal facilities. generally this is a problem at the moment.
Honorable Speaker, is there any comprehensive plan and a time-bound plan as to how to deal with the problem to ensure universal issuance?
Yeah, a team is already dispatched to conduct assessment, and I think within West Coast region, Sukuta is identified. There are some other areas in the West Coast that are already identified. So the plans are on, and then they're vigorously scouting for facilities to host these equipments.
Thank you. Banjul South.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the Honorable Minister mentioned that they've made about 232,000 ID cards. Madam Speaker, as a member of the ECOWAS Parliament, and I've seen other ECOWAS ID cards, the ID cards state ECOWAS, and as far as I know, they are not ECOWAS compliant. How would it be in effect when ECOWAS, because I have seen in Senegal that the same ID card also serves as a voter's card. And this card, people are paying over $400 to make this ID card. And if ECOWAS comes and says it is not ECOWAS compliant, how would it affect the people that have already paid for those ID cards? Thank you.
I don't know why it's not ECOWAS compliance, and we've not bring to my notice the requirements for ECOWAS compliance. But to my understanding, definitely it is ECOWAS compliance. Unless there is evidence that it is not, then we can move on.
Honorable Member for Lower Salem.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, you indicate 51,986 from January to May that is issued. My question here is, how many percentage did the government gain per ID card? Percentage.
Can you repeat the question again?
You said on your answer, 51,986 from January to May.
ID cards, yes.
ID cards that are issued. How many percentage government gain from 1% of a ID card? Per ID card, sorry, per ID card.
I think ID card is definitely a government revenue. The cost is paid to the government. So I cannot say for certain whether no other person benefits from the ID card. So the percentage, the entire percentage is for the government.
Maybe he wants the figure.
No. Honorable Speaker, the reason why I ask is because, I think the government is the third party you understand?
For the percentage for the production is 60-40. 40 for the government, 60 for the company.
Honorable Member for Lower, sorry, let's allow other honorable members, give them a chance as well. You can pursue your questioning further, yes. Lower Nyomi, please, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I wanted to come to the question asked by the member for Banjul South, that the ECOWAS indicated on the ID card is not ECOWAS compliant because the information is not enough. It is such that looking at the card, you would be able to know this man is a driver, this man is working as a teacher, and so forth. This is why it goes to the extent of giving you the opportunity of using that card as a voter's card instead of going for another card.
Well, thank you very much for giving me that information. I think if quite a number of you are members of the ECOWAS Parliament, and if there is any query from ECOWAS, I think it is important to let the ministry know about it. And so far, since I've become the minister, I've never seen any correspondence from the members here to say there is this query at the ECOWAS, so that at least we can call the contractors to improve upon the quality to suit the ECOWAS requirement.
Thank you. I think I will encourage the ECOWAS parliamentarians to ensure that they are compliant. But we've reached our limit, so please, Honorable Minority Leader. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. It was all about the issue of the ECOWAS compliant. It's fine.
Now?
Thank you, Madam. Honorable Minister, according to what I understand from your response, I understand that there are some applicants that are being refused. What are the reasons behind their refusal?
I could fully remember being asked a similar question here during the last year's session, and then my answers on that question is that the immigration, the issuing authority has the discretion to conduct interviews and to verify certain documents. And I think if honorable members could remember, we just want to say that discretion of identifying, whether the person has fulfilled the requirement is there. So those are people who probably did not fulfill the requirement at that time. They were referred. They are not refused, because we have to distinguish refusal and referral. Referral is for them to go and then bring in a lot of them. Even if I know you personally and I know you are a Gambian, the discretion lies on that immigration officer to say, go for the document. Without your documents, I cannot. Because he needs to be, every entry has to be, need to be supported by corresponding documentation. And that's the reason why that 4,475 were referred to for more proofs. Thank you.
Member for Basse, still on ECOWAS?
Yes, still on ECOWAS. I think what I want to propose here, the minister is right, nobody has gone to him, but I would like the minister to understand we are a delegation. Is this plenary that delegated us to ECOWAS. So if you have anything you have to report to this plenary, then from the plenary, a communication will come from the plenary to your ministry. That's the reason why we didn't go to your ministry to inform you individually. Madam Speaker, the question that I wanted to ask about the number of Gambians who are issued with the ID card, you may not have the answer here, but if you can provide us the answer to know that how many Gambians living abroad we are issued with the new ID card. That's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Since I am not in the possession, I think I will let that question go. But if you want it, I can provide you all the information. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Woolly East.
Honorable Speaker, thank you. Honorable Minister, you mentioned places that are providing ID card to applicants. You also mentioned places that are identified. I know here, Basse, which is very far from here, and there are so many villages also very far from Basse. So what plans do you have to ensure that applicants in, for example, Sutukova and Makamasre can access ID card? It's long overdue now.
I think Honorable Member for Serekunda has asked a similar question, and he made a suggestion to me to at least for the expansion of this thing. We've only started, and then we don't have the resources to expand as we wish. But gradually, we'll cover the entire country. Unless you want us to prioritize that particular location to the disadvantage of other locations.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll cover your area, definitely.
Sebastian.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, you did indicate that 4,000 people were rejected. In an event that they are no more qualified, will they be refunded their monies?
Meeting, please, Honorable Member for Basse.
Well, that appears to be a very important but a very difficult question to answer as at now. But then, let's see, I'm sure if you apply for something and you spend money, most of the time, if you are rejected, in the first place, you should not have even applied, knowing fully well that you're a Gambian. So if you risk to apply, and then I don't think we will refund your money. That's my stand. Thank you.
Thank you. Question number 77 of 2020, Honorable Member for Banjul North. Please, can we have one session?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, would the Honorable Minister for Interior explain to this August Assembly measures taken by his ministry in collaboration with the councils to enforce the emergency regulation regarding social distancing or physical distancing in markets and the surroundings?
Thank you very much. Honorable Speaker, may I inform the honorable members that following the declaration of state of public emergency and subsequent promulgation of the emergency regulation, security services under the purview of the ministry formed a technical committee comprising of operational commanders of various services to work out the modality of implementing and enforcing the regulation. The technical committee further established regional security task force, including health personnel and municipal/area council personnel, who collaboratively work to respond to the COVID emergency regulation relating to markets, passenger regulation, places of worship, and sport facilities. Honorable Speaker, may I inform this Assembly that my ministry, through the National Coordinator on COVID-19, in collaboration with the municipal and area councils, are engaged in enforcing public emergency regulations within the market community centers. Measures taken for enforcing social distancing regulation is the identification of alternative market sites, as well as scheduling of opening and closing times for shops in order to decongest community markets. Honorable Speaker, as regards to the enforcement of public transport emergency power regulation, may I inform this Assembly that 81 drivers have been arrested within KMC and West Coast region and taken to court for violating regulation. The police has successfully prosecuted 46 offenders and are fined with various amounts of money. Honorable Speaker, may I also inform this August Assembly that enforcement actions have been taken in relation to places of worship. To this regard, 18 imams were arrested and taken to court. Honorable Speaker, apart from enforcing social distancing regulation, departments under my ministry were also engaged in price hiking and border regulation enforcement activities, including illegal entry and smuggling. Thank you.
I have two supplementary.
Honorable Minister, yes, thank you. Would you agree with me that with whatever measures that might have been agreed with the councils, they are not actually being felt on the ground, particularly with regards to the question, that is the markets. In light of this, what would your minister do in terms of ensuring that social distancing is really adhered to in markets, particularly, and public places in general?
Thank you, Honorable Member. If what is expected from the task force is not happening, I will, from this point, take it up myself to approach the area councils and regional governors to see best way out
North?
Of course, it's not only the markets, it's general, but for the markets, since this question is directed to the markets, how soon are you going to do this?
Well, I was expecting that things are going fine. You have just had information from you that there is not that much collaboration between the law enforcement agencies and the municipal councils. It's just, that's only known to me. But at a certain level, I have seen them participating and patrolling together. So to me, I presume that they are working together. So if that's not happening, then we have to at least do something about it as soon as possible. So what I can tell you as of now is that it's going to happen as soon as possible.
Thank you. Banjul South.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, I think the problem and the risk is much more in the markets than in the mosque, and the arrests have been more focused in the mosque. What have you done to ensure, what extra measures have you done to ensure that the markets were being compliant? And how are you going to do it now since there is no state of emergency to save us?
Thank you very much. Markets have been a very difficult task to the law enforcement agencies. And I've made, during some of my interviews, I discussed on this particular area. It's rather unfortunate that, to me, it's sensitization that is lacking. You know, it is not the enforcement aspect of it, but the sensitization, because people refuse to be separated. You know, and it do happen most of the time. Family members will be going together in close proximity, and you ask them to distance, and they go closer to each other more than distance. So that has been our biggest challenge. But I think what we can do best to remedy that situation is to put more sensitization on the dangers of transmission than separating the public. Thank you.
Thank you. Opanyomi.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me the floor. Honourable Minister, you made mention of the number of the offenders in terms of drivers, West Coast and KMC, and that of the imams as well. But like the honourable member's question is about the enforcement of the regulation in the market areas. So with all the problems we are seeing in the market, you want to tell us that there's no offender in terms of violating the regulations?
There are a lot of regulations relating to markets. One of the regulations relating to markets is social distancing. And the other regulations relating to market, this is also related to other areas, is food item hacking. There are a lot of issues that are going. Social distancing, the opening hours, these are all regulations regarding the markets. And then when the question is asked, the question did not, probably I did not specifically answer on the social distancing, but on the market I've answered it. There is an opening hours, restriction on opening hours and closing hours. And I said in my last answer that on social distancing has been a big challenge to this country. What we can do best is every one of us to go on to sensitize the public. Because there are people who doesn't even believe that COVID exists. So how do we educate them to believe that it exists? That's not the responsibility of the security agency alone. It's the responsibility of all and sundry to make sure that everybody in this country goes out to sensitize the public. Because people are reluctant. So where you have a family of 5 people coming to the market and you want to ask them to go, to at least to give distance to each other. And as I said, that's why I deliberately informed the House of the ratio of police officers to citizens. If every single police officer is responsible of 334 citizens, how many citizens can you separate? Only 2. Effectively. Effectively, you can only separate 2. So that, and even by separating them, you also subject yourself to more danger. You know. So it's just a sensitization. People have to understand that this is a disease and it's happening, and we all have to do everything possible to discourage social being closer to each other. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable nominated member Jaite.
Thank you. Honorable Minister, I'm sure you are aware that we can no longer enforce these regulations. They have outlived their time. This brings me to the question why the motion was withdrawn yesterday and why we weren't given enough notice, and do you have any apologies?
I don't think the question touches on the motion of yesterday. No honorable.
Into the state of emergency.
Touching on the withdrawal or otherwise, or non-extension of a state of emergency. So please, if you can ask the Honorable Minister a supplementary question.
I will rephrase it. Honorable Minister, now that we can no longer enforce these regulations, do you have other measures you can put in place? For example, the sensitization in order to help reduce the spread?
To my understanding, the regulation is still till midnight today, or was it yesterday? Yesterday. So we will bank on the sensitization, and as I said earlier, this is the most effective way of dealing with the issue. You know, we've tried to separate people, and they do not adhere to it. So the best way out now is to go on to sensitize the public. You know. So I think sensitization is the best way as at now to deal with it.
Thank you. Loanyomi.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. It is much wiser to sensitize people than to force them. You've seen the wisdom in that
Sorry,
approach.
Honorable, is that a question?
I'm just buying his idea. It is sensitization. Thank you very much.
If you are laying a foundation, by the time you finish, your 1 minute would have been up.
Can I say so? Even though, because I think it's just all balancing act. At the time of the enforcement, at a certain time that enforcement was absolutely necessary. But people have given reasonable time to understand the disease, and yet still they are not. So the best way out is just to give to them more and more to sensitize them on the danger. Thank you.
Member for Sami.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, as you have rightly put it, social distance is an issue. So now, what is your ministry's plan with regard to the lumens?
Can I raise a point of order? Standing Order 26.2. I want to raise a point of order, Standing Order 26.2. (26.2).
26.2, please, can you refer to your 26.2? Yes.
Honourable Speaker, 26.2 is reading, a member shall speak standing and shall address his or her observation to the speaker or chairperson. Addressing the chair or the speaker, not the minister. Honourable Minister, could you? Honourable Minister, no. Honourable Speaker, can the Honourable Minister? I think that's the principle.
So interesting, but when you were raising this very point of order, I did not even notice you because we were sitting down.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Speaker. Honorable Speaker, can the Honorable Minister, thank you, can the Honorable Minister, with regard to the social distance that he is talking of, is a concern. So, what is the ministry's plan with regard to the lumos in terms of opening?
at the moment, there is a serious engagement because the Tobaski is fast approaching, and then at the level of the cabinet subcommittee, the cabinet committee, there is arrangement already in place to invite the local cattle dealers and also those responsible for blue malls to come together, because we don't want to do things in isolation. We want to call them and invite them and discuss with them as the best way out to make sure that, you know, we know there is presence of COVID and we know life has to go on. So this, you have to balance it, but you cannot do it independently to say, that's why we are inviting all of them to come. I think some certain ministers were identified who will deal with them for the LUMOS. Agriculture is one of them, the health minister, and then transport is also part of it. They are going to engage them and then see a best way out, considering also that COVID is in existence.
We've reached the upper limit of 7 supplementary questions. We move over to question number 78 of 2020 by the Honorable Member for Kumo East. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, can the Honorable Minister for Interior update this August Assembly on the construction of a police station at the Jiboro border post? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I wish to inform the honorable members that the project proposal for the construction of Jiboro Police Station has been submitted to the financiers of the project, EU and German Agency for International Cooperation, GIZ, for possible approval and reimbursement of the funds. However, because of the COVID pandemic, activities with partners had to put on hold until the restrictions are eased. That's the situation as of now.
Have any additional? No. Any supplementary? No. Yes, Lower Nyomi, supplementary. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, is the minister aware that there is a police post constructed already in Medina Serignmas?
Point of order.
But it is not being staffed.
Point of order.
Construction of the police.
I'm rising on clause 43(1) of the standing orders. Supplementary question are asked to elucidate on the parent question asked. This question is based on Jiboro, not in Kere Aldo.
Honorable, with all due respect, how many times have people, especially Sami, the question will be asked on Nyamina East. Sami will always come up with Sami and Nyani. So please, can we, let's be fair to each other. Who was it? Loa Nyomi, did you finish your question?
I wish to inform the Honorable Minister that a police post has been constructed in Medina Serignmas, but it's not staffed.
Thank you for the information. Ilyasa, Honorable Member for Ilyasa. Ilyasa, please.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, Madam Speaker, could the Honorable Minister try to consider and to construct another building of Ilyasa police post, please?
Thank you very much. I think I will answer the two questions at the same time, because the first one comes from the honorable member from Nyomi, that in Dungukewe there's already built police station and then it's not occupied. Probably it's based on the staff arrangement as at now, because when this pandemic started, we diverted some of our manpower resources to certain situations, and that has prevented the police having enough manpower to occupy that place. But the sooner everything is down, then we'll definitely, because it cannot just be built unoccupied. So there must be. So probably it's just that now that they don't have enough staff to deploy. But very soon they will. Thank you. Regarding Ilyasa, I still want the honorable member to understand and also know the difference between a post and a station, and a satellite station. Unless we know that, Ilyasa was a temporary station, depending on the assessment. If the crime rate there still continues to be higher and higher, or accidents are frequent there, then it's obvious that the station will be built. But unless that happens, then we still consider it as a satellite post or a police post. Thank you.
Sami, it was Nyani. Okay, Nyani then.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. During the Inspector General of Police sensitization tour or familiarization tour, he was in Kuntal and he promised the Kuntal police officers that they will
You have 1 minute to ask a supplementary question.
A house for the staff. So how far it is now?
Probably, I've not discussed that issue with the Inspector General of Police yet, but they will build it if the assessment shows that there is a need for them to build quarters. But generally, quarters are very, very expensive, and it also has to be dependent on the number of staffs at that location. If that particular station is a police station, then we expect a number of about 27 personnel there. Then probably they're not going to build single houses for them, because some of them might have a family. So we're talking about building a massive building around that area to at least accommodate all of them. But if there are funds, definitely they will. I don't know on what basis that he promised that. Probably he has the capacity as at now. But he has not discussed that issue with me yet. Thank you.
Honorable Member for Salem, can you just exercise a little bit of patience, please? Yes, your microphone here. Yes, your microphone. Thank you, Lower Salem.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, constructions is all over the country. And as we know, Ministry of Works, construction is under the Ministry of Works.
1 minute.
Do you have any bilateral relationship with Ministry of Works to monitor the implementation of constructions of these police stations?
Apart from the Ministry of Works giving us technical advice, we have the engineering group, the engineering team that normally builds all our police stations. They are police officers, they have their own command structure, and then we assign them areas that they will build, but under the guidance of the Ministry of Works. Thank you.
More supplementary questions on this? Yes, parliamentary.
Thank you very much, Ma. Can the Honorable Minister please explain to this August Assembly what is the difference between the police post and the police station? Because I've been, a community like Sukuta has a police station, but no vehicle, and I've been raising that question here so many times, but the answer I get is Sukuta is a police post. So I want to know the difference between a police post and a police station.
Thank you very much I'm very happy to at least tell you that, because I think this question has been coming and going and all the things. Standard police stations, you have all the units there, and the approximate number of personnel should not be less than 27. For the police post, the number of personnel there should not be more than 18. That's the police post. You have a relief of four people. That's 4 by 2, that's 12. Then you have their command and administrative staffs. But Sukuta was initiated by my very self when I was the Inspector General of Police because of the rate of crime at that location. And I put a caravan there initially, But after people mocking the police that we are using, you are in a caravan, I started to approach the Alcalo and some other senior Sukuta people, and then that store was identified. We refurbished it and then put up a temporary thing. The moment if Sukuta can provide piece of land for us, then we'll definitely build, because to us, our assessment is that we don't have an area where we can build, and that's why we are using a temporary structure. And using a temporary structure, you cannot call that a police station, because it lacks a lot of facilities for the police station. There is no communication set there. So Sukuta is a satellite station to Bruce B as at now. Thank you.
Can take one more? No. Yes, Lower Nyumi. Upper Nyumi.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me that opportunity. Honorable Minister, by looking at the landscape of Banyami, it's almost 50 villages, and we have only one police post. And where they are living is not habitable somehow. And they don't have vehicles, they have nothing absolutely. What are Opanyami at Albela? What are you doing to address that situation? Please, thank you.
We are dragged into this satellite posts and stations because of the offer that people give us, not based on our assessment of the certain areas. So the crime statistics coming from that area, if it indicates the need to erect a police station at a certain location at that place, definitely they will. You know, we are in receipt of crime statistics, monthly crime statistics of areas, and this is why Jufre was part of it, you know, and Ndugu Kerjane and Kuntaya, it's part of the Upper Nyomi and part of the Lower Nyomi. But all this is necessitated by the assessment report coming from that and as to the rate of crime based on the crime statistics. So we cannot just put up a police station because we want to, it's requested. It's going to be something there as a decoration when crimes is still committed elsewhere. So I think you have to bear with us that we not erect police stations at certain areas because the crime rate is not high in those locations. Where the crime rates are high, that's our target, and then that's based on the assessment report coming from the crime statistics. It's not only the police stations, but even patrols. You know, where they cannot reach, they will put up checkpoints, because checkpoints also will help. So some numerous checkpoints that you will be seeing, sometimes it's just because we want the presence of police at certain locations. Thank you.
On this. Otherwise, we thank the Honorable Minister for Interior for the answers provided to this August Assembly and release him. Honorable Minister, thank you very much. You're released with your team. Thank you. Honorable members, we are now to proceed with the Minister, the Honorable Minister for Environment, Climate Change and Natural Resources. But I think this is a convenient time for us to take a break. It's after 2 o'clock and we reconvene, the session suspended, and we reconvene at 3:15 for continuation. So the sitting is hereby suspended, 3:15. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now us to first of ourselves. Go.